click go live. Hello? I think I had to hit go live on the website first. So I assume you've only just started hearing me. What do you want your money back for? Anyway, I'm hoping this is the right chat. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And the stream's all, you know, up and everything. Okay, you can hear me. That's cool. That's the right chat then. I think YouTube must have fixed something then. This was definitely buggy before. All right, so yeah, last time we started this whole arc with a lot of focus on Keiichi and Rena, particularly Rena, and learned a little bit more about her family life. And I'm assuming we're gonna go into more of that today. Now I'm gonna do a bigger summary because it's in the description, and the stream's been up for like scheduled for a few days. So let's load this and go ahead and start. Hey, good morning, Rena. You're late today. You're just early today, Keiichi-kun. I'm not trying to put aside the fact that I'm always late, but it feels good to defeat you once in a while. I slept in this morning. I couldn't sleep last night. Oh, you too? Same here. You appreciate the reminder. You mean the pre-scheduled stream? I actually did that for you because I'm like, I said Sunday and then I'm like, looking at this schedule, it's probably actually going to be Friday, and I actually probably won't do it Sunday. Oh, hi, Serena. I was still feeling yesterday's uproar. It took me a long time to go to sleep. Yesterday, I had a lot of fun with my friends and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. I kept talking with my parents about the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped that I couldn't go to sleep. Kinda sounds like I'm a little kid. But given that Rena seemed to be the same way, I felt better about it. Oh no, if only you knew. No, I felt better isn't the right way of phrasing it. I should say, I'm glad to know that we shared the same feeling. Rena went treasure hunting after I left. I'm sure she found many adorable things, went home and talked to their parents about how great the day was. Oh, Keiichi. Hey, Mi-chan. Good morning. Oh, you're here early. Better watch out for the pigs falling from the sky. I know I usually make you wait for me, but do you really have to say it like that? Keiichi-kun was unusually early this morning. Today's full of miracles. You're one to talk yourself. It's going to be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday. So I'm going to have fun today for sure. I'm happy, and Mion is happy too. Of course, Rena and my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it, and I wish these happy days would last forever. Hey, Mion. What are we playing today? What, for club? I don't know yet. Rena, do you have any ideas? Let's see. We've been playing athletic games for the past few days, so I'd say something not athletic. You're right. That's a very good point. Our club is not only about athletic performance, is it? Of course it's not. Our club members have to have brain, skill, and brawn to boot. So why don't we play some tabletop games today? Everybody was early this morning. We could enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. They told me that the festival was called Watanagashi, and that it's the biggest event of the year in Hinamizawa. Yesterday, my relatives gathered at my house in Okinomiya. And they started talking about you, Kei-chan. What? Me? What did the great people of the Sonozaki family talk about? Just checking, this is still the same chat, right? Because I haven't gotten any new messages since Serena joined. Well, my uncle Yoshiro is the store manager of Angel Mort, and he saw your performance yesterday. He really likes you now. Sonic story, much of Shadow story. So I started asking the others if they had heard of you, and I found out that most of them did. They said you're famous in Hinamizawa. Famous? It doesn't sound like they meant it in a good way. I'm probably more infamous to them because of the punishments you made me do. Still the same? Okay. Just making sure. It's not only that. They said that you blend in well, that you're full of energy, and that you're a little bit reckless. They said it's rare for a young man in this era to have all those qualities. They were very impressed with you. Oh, hey, Daisy. I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking well of me. And so, they want you to do something at the Watanagashi festival. You like to draw people's attention, don't you? Me on Sonic and Keiichi's shadow. Hey! Don't assume things and don't decide anything without me! Don't you know I'm a quiet, lonely guy who loves to be alone? Lonely guy? You mean lone boy, don't you? Oh, Keiichi-kun being a lone boy. If you're having trouble with money, we can help you. How? Oh, stop talking about nasty things! Ladies don't talk about things like that. I don't know what a lone boy is. I feel stupid. We really were still feeling the after effects of yesterday. Mion and I made a lot of noise teasing each other on the way to school. Rena watched us and laughed happily. Satoko and Rika-chan were already there when we arrived at school. They were also full of energy. Tomita-kun and Okamoto-kun were too. From that, I can tell they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody's been having a good time, really. In Hinamizawa, everybody's happy. It hasn't even been a year yet since I moved here, but... it hasn't even been like 2 months. It's been 2 months. What is it? Well, I'm just glad that I moved here. What's wrong, Kei-chan? You're being sentimental. I understand. I understand exactly how you feel. You feel like everything's perfect, that you've become happy since you moved to Hinamizawa. I think this village has some kind of power to make people feel that way. Are you happy, Rena? Yeah. I'm happy every day here in Hinamizawa. Yeah, me too. Hey! Don't leave this old man out in the cold. Let me in on the conversation, too. The sky was clear, and the few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me that summer would be coming earlier than usual. Watanagashi is just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have great fun at the festival, too. There'll be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer is just around the corner. The last class of the day was finally over, meaning that it was time for club activities. I was sure it'd be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Michan received a call and told us something had come up and she had to go, so we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I could do, but I could at least chat with Keiichi on the way home. It'll be fun. Keiichi sometimes says mean things, but he's very funny. When I chat with him, my depression goes away. Isn't it? I think it's gonna do that anyway, isn't it? I don't know, we're still early on. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day, and I'm as happy as can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because of Rina-san, my father is happy now. Before he met her, he was like a lamp in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Rina-san, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed in talking with her and started going out with her. You could probably say they went on dates. Now, he looks 20 years younger. Rina-san gets along with my father very well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her. But the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my many regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. Was it okay to accept that woman? Rina-san might be the same as how Uncle Akihito turned out to be. Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Rina-san comes to my house a little too obviously. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. The futon in our guest room is hers now. In the bathroom, there's a toothbrush and shampoo I'd never choose to buy. I started to feel awkward about those things. And that's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Rina-san. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused. He told me, not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. That's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said, not yet. He'd consider it, but not while I was still living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Rina-san. I feel offended that my sanctum, my family, is being invaded. I might be being selfish, though. I know keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable like he was before he met Rina-san. He has a life to live, too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce and to live, to find his new love. He wouldn't have had to go through that painful life if I prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. He has a right to a happy new life that lets him forget the pain he never deserved, and I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pay for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Then what should I do to make both of us happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I'd need to do would be give my silent approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried while we live together. That means I should stop leaning on my family, be strong, and live on my own as soon as I can. Although that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Rina-san comes to our house to see him despite her busy schedule, and she even stays the night when her shifts permit. They're adults. I have no right to say anything against that. That's why I chose to give my silent approval to their relationship, and tried to see her as little as I could. I get along with Rina-san on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't, but it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Rina-san comes over, I spend as much time as possible outside, then head home late. Michan's club activities are the most convenient things to do to kill time, but there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days, I while away my time at the garbage dump hunting for treasure alone, and that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Rina-san at home. I don't have to see them together. I can spend my time peacefully at my hideout. I sometimes feel depressed about my life. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it, but nothing will change even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me should be to overcome the sadness of losing my family as fast as I could, and to regain my own happiness. I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Keiichi was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad because I still can't separate from my father. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Rina-san's invasion is a very slow process. I think Rina-san understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, but she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I'd feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika-chan because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, my problem is like nothing. I respect Satoko-chan's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Rina-san is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature, and because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong like Rika-chan and Satoko-chan. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm going to live with all my might in order to regain the peace of mind that I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spend with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly. Listen, listen! It was just so cute, so I screamed, "I'm taking it home with me!" I bet you did. You're an expert at making the most out of every day. I am, aren't I? I feel very fortunate to have a wonderful life and wonderful friends. How could I be unhappy? You're right. In Hinamizawa, nobody becomes unhappy. Everybody stays happy. Hinamizawa is free from misfortunes. He should have stopped right there, but he just kept going. I'm jealous of you, Rena. I wish I could be an idiotic optimist like you. How? It sounds like you're insulting me. But if that's what I need to make every day wonderful, I wouldn't mind. Would I? I don't have any worries. I feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and still want my father's attention. Come on, say the magical words. It'll cheer you up. How? Huh? It didn't make sense to say it now, but I was going to say it anyway, because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up. How? I'm taking it home with me! What's wrong with you? That's so like you, but still. That's right. This is me, Rena. I'm not Reina. Reina still wants her parents' attention. Rena is a goofy and carefree girl. She knows that every day is full of happiness because she has the kind heart to appreciate it too. I should forget about icky things. I should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with an I, and that's why I got rid of the I in Reina. I believe this was some similar word to itai. Itai means like it hurts. It's like pain or something. In the original version. I'm Rena. I'm going to recapture the happiness I lost when I left Hinamizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy, because I got rid of icky things. I'm sure there are only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with an I too. I was almost home, and when my house appeared, I noticed something different there. There was a truck parked in front of my house. There was nothing on the back of it, but I can tell it brought something here because I saw some cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. From the front of the house, I heard voices of two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked towards the front door. They were wearing some kind of work uniforms. They looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he noticed me. Works a lot better than icky because a 14-year-old saying icky is really cringe. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know what they could have done, really, for the translation, though. I honestly, they could have just said itai. Like, nobody's playing this visual novel that's not a weeb. They could just add a translator's note or something. I think it'd be fine. Hey, I'm home. What's going on? Oh, Rena. I have a surprise for you. My father looked to be in a good mood. I didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish, no matter how hard I tried to smile at him. But these days, he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He's been literally coming back to life since a year ago when we moved back to Hinamizawa. No, since he started dating Rina-san. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy. But at the same time, I feel confused because I don't know whether I should thank Rina-san or not. Look, doesn't it look great? He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go all, oh and ah. So whether there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go oh and ah for him. Wow! What is this? What did you do? I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment, I thought I was in someone else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture we had was all basically from the former house in Ibaraki. My parents bought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little, but all of that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned a pastel color, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical, and new curtains matched with the carpet. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. The channel switcher of our old TV was broken, and we used to have to use pliers to change channels, but it was gone too, replaced by a new one with a big screen. The room's lights had also been replaced by nicer looking ones. The living room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights. This looks great, Dad. What made you do this? I did it to get a fresh start. It's been a year since you moved here. I thought it was time for me to reboot and finally start a new life. I suggested redecorating the house once in order to cheer him up because he was still in pain after the divorce, but he wasn't interested at the time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he had chosen with my mother because he still couldn't get over her even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought he'd do it on his own initiative. That was a good idea. This beautiful living room makes me feel refreshed. I love it. I knew you would. Rina, you always wanted to have a rocking chair, didn't you? I haven't set it up yet, but look. I got it for you. Dad, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is mine, right? Right? Hey, this is for everybody. Not just for you, Rena. I understand, but I'm not going to get off the chair once I sit on it. My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. He told me that he only did the living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all of the rooms. He sure had become more active. There were some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great because it made him happy. And I got like a something in my throat that's causing a rasp. I think what I need to do is like not talk for 3 years to let my throat heal from my constant throat clearing that I need to do, because when I talk it has the weird like it makes it feel like it's not just the it's not like vocal fry or like a regular rasp. It's like something in my throat. I don't know. So I need to like not talk for ages and then have it heal and then just never clear my throat again. Yeah. Anyway, I found the old furniture. I found the old furniture outside in the yard. Are you going to throw them away? Yeah, I think we should. I don't know if it's like audible because right now it's not doing it. Like I have a bit of a rasp in my throat, but it's not doing the thing it was a few minutes ago where it was like, I don't know, there's like a rough quality that sometimes appears. I'm wondering if that's actually audible to anyone else or if only I can perceive it for whatever reason. Because no one ever mentions it to me. But anyway, yeah, I think we should. The delivery company is coming later to pick them up. Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother, and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of them. But, for some reason, this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here. My father didn't choose the new furniture. Rina-san probably did. Most likely, my father and Rina-san decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I tried to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply. So I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Rena. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad, looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realized the reason right away. That reason was me. To him, wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that remind him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking that I'm the reason he can't get remarried. But he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. Oh, there we go. It came back. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. Yeah, it's come back now. I don't know if you guys can hear anything like different about it, but it was my fault that he had to get a divorce. That's why I have to support him to help recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep him all to myself. I'd have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should think about getting a job. But who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working at a hostess club. Oops. Like Rina-san does. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money that I need to live on my own. But, kind of think of it, where is the place where I belong? You wouldn't notice if I didn't say anything? Okay, but otherwise, there's like a subtle difference. Yeah, I kind of hate it. I notice it constantly, and it's like, it's part of the reason that I clear my throat so much, is I feel like I need to get rid of it, and I don't know any other way of doing it. Kind of sucks. It didn't used to be like that. It's only because I started clearing it in the first place, so it's kind of like a self-perpetuating problem. I think maybe if I just tried to resist that urge, like scratching an itch or something, like if I just didn't clear it for a while, then maybe it would naturally heal and I'd be fine, but it's really, really hard. I'm really bad at kicking habits. Come to think of it, where is the place where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in the trash piles. I love to get under my blanket and feel the warmth on a cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a comfortable place to spend time in. But it might be the place where I can relax the most, more than I can at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has been invaded by Rina-san. I should thank her for making my father happy. Rina-san isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me. But I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Satoshi-kun and his aunt didn't get along at all, and she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation is a lot easier. Satoko-chan and Rika-chan lost their parents, and they live together now. They've been through very hard times. On the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of these things. I am happy. I am blessed. The trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded at him with a big smile and let him keep at it. Oh, I almost forgot. Rena, can I ask you a favor? Sure. What is it? I ordered 2 jackets from the clothing store. It seems like they came in today. I have to help the delivery company pick up the furniture, so can you go get the jackets for me? Sure. Which store is it? I wonder what kind of jackets you got. I can't wait to see them. No matter what they look like, I'm sure Rina-san picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going. I'd rather go to the store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. I got the receipt, asked him where the store is, changed my clothes, and left the house. I started pedaling my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be the object of my hatred, but for some reason, they now made me feel sentimental. Is it because I still regret the loss of my mother, even though I hate her? I couldn't let poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understood that in my mind, but I just couldn't get rid of that feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away, too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. Just like an animal that rubs its scent on its home in order to feel secure, I collected all the junk in order to make sure that I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners, and they needed a place to live. The store where my father ordered the jackets from is a fancy boutique. It's hard to believe my father would shop at a store like this on his own. I could tell right away that Rina-san took him here. I handed over his receipt to the cashier. A short time later, the store manager came out wearing a perplexed look. Ryugu-sama, I'm very sorry, but it seems like the truck carrying your jackets is stuck in traffic. It should be here soon, though. He said that the driver called a while ago, told him he just got off the highway and would be here in about an hour. I didn't need to know all the details, but he explained them to me anyway. I asked him if I should come back tomorrow. He insisted that I should wait because the truck would be coming shortly, and he urged me to take a seat on their sofa. But I didn't really feel comfortable waiting there, so I told him I'd be back soon and left the store. I wondered if there are any fast food restaurants nearby. I might have to go all the way back to the station. I looked around and found a coffee house. The glass on the door was black, so I couldn't see inside. But there was a poster saying the price for a cup of tea is lower than normal for women on weekdays. I'd just be going to get a cup of tea to kill some time. It should be okay. But still, I hesitated to go inside before opening the door. Her first impression of the coffee house was the smell of cigarettes. It's normal for coffee houses to be filled with cigarette smoke. It's like a requirement. But Rena still regretted her decision. Who the fuck is this omniscient third-person narrator? Hello? While she was thinking about leaving, the proprietor spoke to her brusquely and showed her to a table. Rena gave up on the idea of leaving and sat down. The atmosphere in the shop was far from a clean, normal coffee house where you would go to simply enjoy coffee and cigarettes. It was more like a place where vulgar people would hang around. Rena didn't feel comfortable at all, but what bothered her most was the laughter of a man and a woman sitting together in the very back of the shop. Her table was behind a planter, so depending on how one looked at it, one could say she was in the spot most protected from their laughter. But Rena looked as though she wanted to leave as soon as she finished her tea. The bell hanging from the entrance door rang, letting her know a customer just came in. It was a little surprising for her that a coffee shop like this could draw in so many customers. Rena peeked at the newcomers from behind the planter. There were two of them. They looked like vulgar men, the kind of people you didn't want to get involved with the instant you saw them. The proprietor tried to show them to a table, but they ignored him and walked towards the back. They walked up to the couple who had been laughing loudly and greeted them with a bow.
Oh.
Hey, you finally made it. Sit down. The couple stopped laughing, and the man told the newcomers to sit down in a threatening tone of voice. As instructed, the two of them took a seat. So? What happened? We're very sorry. We tried to... Cut it, dipshit! Just hand it over. The two of them looked at each other before they each took an envelope out of their pockets and put it on the table. The man roughly grabbed the two envelopes and tore one of them open. Inside, there were many wrinkled 10,000 yen bills bound into a bundle with a rubber band. He opened the other one to make sure it also had cash in it, and then threw it to the woman. Count them. Hey, don't order me around. This is originally my money, you know. Shut up! Just count them. The man yelled at the woman. She licked her thumb, looking annoyed, and started counting the cash expertly. The two newcomers hung their heads while she counted. Lighting a cigarette, the man waited for her to finish counting. Good, it's all here. The woman said that after flicking through the last bill. The newcomers looked relieved. The man, however, didn't look satisfied as he stared at the bundle of the bills the woman was holding. Ritsuko, how much is there? What? I told you, it's all here. I'm asking you, how much is that? I told you, all the money I lent them. No, idiot! I'm asking you if they paid the interest! The man and Ritsuko yelled at each other. Even though they were making all that noise, the other customers acted like they didn't hear anything. Hey, boys! There's only 2 mil in here. What's going on? The two of them were trying to find some excuses to make. It seemed like this behavior had touched the man's nerves as he started looking furious. The fuck is this? I asked you, what's going on? You better start talking! His angry voice echoed throughout the shop. He hit the table hard and dropped a glass on the floor. The noise thickened the tension in the atmosphere. We're very sorry. Being sorry doesn't give her the interest, does it? I don't mind calling the police to solve our problem, you know? Please don't. The two newcomers must have been in an extremely vulnerable position. They bowed so deeply that their foreheads almost touched the table. I called y'all in here because I thought you didn't want me to involve the police. But then you act like you don't fucking care, huh? We're sorry. We're very sorry. While you could pity them, the newcomers looked as vulgar as the man threatening them, making it hard to decide whether you should feel sorry for them or not. After a while, Ritsuko opened her mouth as if to offer them help. Te-chan? Don't be so mean to them. I'm sorry, my guy gets mad easily when money's involved. You don't have to add the money part. I'm getting ticked because they're bitching at you. Jeez, saying those stupid things won't get you anything. The man pulled Ritsuko roughly into his arms and frantically kissed her lips without caring about the other customers. Their kiss wasn't like the lovely ones that normal couples would share. It looked obscene instead. He let her lips go to take a breath, kissed them again, and then repeated that for a while. After a while, he finally got bored of kissing and let her go. He gets really mad when it comes to me, too. He's impossible. So what? This woman's like a part of my body. Putting dirt on her means putting dirt on me. Whoever tries to do that's in for a bloodbath. Do you remember the guy with the comb-over? I forgot what you did to that guy after you took him outside. I remember him. He challenged me, wanted to take it outside. He said he did karate, so I got a little excited to see what he had, and I punched him in the stomach. But then he just kneeled down on the ground. I was disappointed, so I took off his pants and underwear and made him clean the public toilets with them. See? I'm helping society. I deserve an award for that one. I can't believe you made him do that. You're so gross sometimes. They started laughing loudly like they were doing earlier. Their laughter obviously intimidated their companions. Listen, you two. Te-chan's actually in a very good mood today. Usually, he'd start yelling, "This isn't enough money!" And you'd be thrown into the Oji River naked by now. We truly apologize for the inconvenience. Well, you forgot about the interest, but you did put together all the rest of the money in time. I'm impressed. So I'll be nice and take that into consideration, you know? Anyway, his interest rate is a little high, but it's only 5 if you pay it today. If you wait even a day longer, it'll be doubled. And if it's doubled, I don't think you'll be able to pay it no matter what you do. So, I'm going to make you a deal. Te-chan, would you give us a minute? Sure, I guess it's okay. The man left the table with a grin and headed for the bathroom. He was far too amenable to that request, as if they planned for him to leave the table at that moment. Ritsuko made sure he was in the bathroom, then took some papers out of her bag and spread them on the table. You're young. You don't want to ruin your life because of an outlaw like him, do you? So, I recommend you pay all the interest today. If you do, you can cut your ties with him. We understand that, but... Making this guy sympathetic is gonna be one of the most impressive things the sequel series has done. Yeah, I was fucking dumbstruck. It's a little bit of a spoiler though, so it's not a major big deal, but in general, I would say don't talk too much about Go and Sotsu in this. We understand that, but because I know what happens, I know the whole story and everything, but a lot of the people watching the stream are going through this blind, so and that that's not even taking Go and Sotsu into consideration. But we can't get 500,000 yen just like that. I understand. I bet you tried really hard to collect that 2 million yen. I understand there's no one who'd help you out with another 500,000. They must have done their very best to collect even the money they brought today. So it must be impossible for them to collect even a dime from anybody now. They hung their heads and told her that. However, take a look. I made this for you. The guys looked at the paper on the table and muttered under their breaths. You don't need collateral or a joint guarantor for this, so the interest rate is a bit high. With this, you can take out a loan of 500,000 yen right away. Even if this interest rate is a lot better than Te-chan's, what do you think? It would be easy for anyone to guess what Ritsuko was trying to force them to do. If you show him this with your signature on it, I'm sure he'll let you off. It's your choice, though. If you need a pen, you can use mine. Here. They read the small print on the documents and were stunned by the outrageous interest rate. Ritsuko didn't force them to do anything. She just looked out the window and smoked her cigarette. After a while, the man returned from the bathroom. Hey, did you come to an agreement? They looked at him, steeled themselves, and took the pen. They're going to borrow money to pay your interest. It's only 500,000 yen, so they can pay their debt soon if they work really hard. That's great. I'm impressed. Men get tougher when they have something burning in them. They must have planned this from the very beginning. The man and Ritsuko got what they wanted and grinned at each other. There were many things to fill out on the documents, and it was taking them a long time. The man and Ritsuko, already knowing that, started talking amongst themselves. Ritsuko, how's your husband and Hinamizawa doing? What? He's not my husband. What's going on with him? I heard he has a lot of money. How much do you think you can squeeze out of him? Well, you'll be so surprised. I heard his ex-wife gave him a settlement when they divorced, right? But I just found out that she gave him a lot. How much is a lot? He has about 50 million yen in the bank. He's a big spender. Wow! That's real big. So, how much do you think you could squeeze out of him? He has a big crush on me. He buys me anything I want, anything. He's not cheap like you. I might get serious about him. I don't think so. Your body won't be satisfied with anyone but me. Stop it, not here. So what's the plan? I'm thinking about telling him I need some money to get rid of my ex-boyfriend. How much are you gonna ask him for? You're a scary woman. Let me know if you need an actor for your play. I'll be a scary ex-boyfriend. Excuse me. We finished. Great. Then let's bring it over to the loan company. Ritsuko, take care of the check, would you? The man pat them on their shoulders and then walked to the door. Another person was just about to enter and they nearly ran into each other. The man probably wouldn't make way for the person considering his personality. But when he noticed who that person was, he stepped aside. The person looked as vulgar as all the other men. He was wearing a black suit with sunglasses on. He wasn't that big, but his stern look was very intimidating. It was clear at a glance that he was a gangster, and a professional one at that. The man who was behaving badly earlier looked a little nervous in front of him. As Ritsuko finished paying the check, she noticed the man in the suit. Oh, General Manager. Good morning, sir. The man in the suit said nothing. He just raised his chin as if saying, fuck off. Ritsuko and the others bowed to him and left the shop in a hurry. The proprietor noticed the man in the suit, also greeting him with a bow. Who could he have been? He appeared sedate compared to the other men, but he must be dangerous because he made even them step aside. Everybody in the shop thought the same thing and tried not to look at him. The man in the suit looked around and found the menu on the wall. The proprietor walked up to him hesitantly.
Master.
Hey, waiter. Yes. Is anything bothering you, sir? Do you have this seasonal dessert, sweet something or other today? Huh? Oh, no. Actually, we aren't running that today, but, well, if you insisted, then we could make it specially for you. If you're not selling it, you're not selling it. I'll come back some other day. Hey, Kasai! He said he'd make it for you. Take his offer. We came all the way here. The girl seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the heavy atmosphere in the shop, and she came in laughing cheerfully. It was Mion Sonozaki's twin sister, Shion. Shion pushed Kasai into the store while he hesitated. She looked at a girl who was sitting down and stopped in her tracks. Huh? Oh, it's you! Hello! Rena-san! How are you doing? Oh, Shi-chan! I'm surprised to see you here. Huh? Are you here by yourself? You waiting for someone? Is it my sis? Or maybe, could it be Kei-chan? Shi-chan. Who is this? Are you talking about Kasai here? He's like my bodyguard. He'll protect me when my life is in danger, won't you? I'll give my life for your sake, if that's what you want me to do. Wow! Kasai, if you were 20 years younger, I might have followed for you. He looks scary, but he's a very funny guy. This is Rena Ryugu-san. She's Sis's friend. My name is Kasai. Nice to meet you. Kasai-san, do you know the people who just walked past you? Kasai nodded, indicating that he was familiar with them. Who are they? I've never seen them before. The man is Teppei Hojo, a skunk of a human being. Shion seemed to know who he was once she heard the name Hojo. And the woman? Rina, Mamiya. I believe that's her business name. Her real name is Ritsuko Mamiya, I think. She's a hostess at Flower Road. Kasai-san, do you know what he is to her? They looked like a couple to me. Hojo is Rina's pimp. They're very, very bad people, so you should never get involved with them. How bad are they? Rena pressed him for the answer, and Kasai seemed to back down a little from that pressure. It's more courteous to stay out of a woman's private affairs. How bad are they? Please don't ask. How bad are they? Rena kept asking the same question until she got an answer. Shion sensed how desperate Rena was and cut into the conversation. Kasai, why don't you just tell her? I don't think she's asking out of curiosity. Am I right, Rena-san? There was tension developing between Rena and Kasai. Shion seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the mood. Kasai finally opened his mouth. They're both skunks, really. I've heard that they make a living by gambling and blackmailing people. I've also heard that they set up badger games. What's a badger game? Well, a badger game is like a marriage fraud. The woman finds a catch, a man who has money, and begins a relationship with him. Then her boyfriend shows up and catches him in the act, blames the guy for stealing his girlfriend, then blackmails him for money. First, the woman makes him buy expensive stuff for her, and then she and her boyfriend take all of his money. There's a rumor that she's got herself a big catch recently. Wow. Whoever that is, I'm so sorry for him. Well, the guy had some fun with her too. I guess he gets what he deserves. That's a little harsh, Shion-san. A man sometimes falls for a woman very easily. Oh, really? I wonder whom you fell for. Waiter, bring the dessert to us, please. Wait, where did she go? She just took her leave. Rena was already gone. The door, which had just closed, looked as if it was the only thing that knew where she went. When I got home, the door was locked. I used my key to get in, and I found a note in the living room. Something's come up, so I have to go. I'm going to eat out tonight, is what the note said. This wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. Each time, he only told me he had to go to Okinomiya for something, but I knew the real reason because I heard him talking on the phone once. Rina-san must have had some free time between jobs and asked him out to have dinner together. I heaved a sigh, looked at the new living room I hated, and went to my room. I thought back over what I'd just heard at the coffee house. I tried to rationalize the meaning of her actions there. Maybe she had to pretend to be a bad person because she was being threatened by the man. But even after the man she called Techan left the table, she continued to threaten the guys and push them into signing the loan contract immediately. If she was threatened to play along with the man, she wouldn't have done that. If she was pretending to be a bad person, she could have shown a little bit of mercy or sympathy when he left her alone with them. It's like holding water in a bowl you made with your hands. No matter how sturdy you made the bowl, water would leak from your fingers. Mercy and sympathy leak out from you. But nothing, not even a drop of water, leaked from Rina-san. Her hands weren't even moist. They were all dried up. There was no water that could leak through those hands. Rina-san was threatening those guys as much as the man was. Neither was leading the other along. They were doing it together. That was it. Rina-san is a bad person. My brain cells accepted the idea with applause. After all, I always hated Rina-san. I just couldn't accept the feeling because my father liked her. But at that moment, I could finally accept it. She's a bad person, just like my mother. She's an existence that will ruin everything and destroy my father's happiness just by being with him. But I wonder if my father would understand that Rina-san is a bad person if I told him so. My father likes her so much that he would jump over a cliff if she asked him to. He thinks everything she does or says is great, and he interprets everything about her in a positive way. He protects her and praises her without her asking him to. I'm not a kid anymore. I understand how a woman can tame a man. It's different from love. Love is about trying to build a relationship. Taming is just a way of satisfying the lust to dominate. She's just trying to make him into her slave. Women can deceive men, even my father. They can use dirty methods to ensnare men like they're following a manual. It's the weak point all men are born with. Even with a strong will, they can't resist it. That's why we hate those women who exploit that weak point to deceive men. That's why I couldn't bring myself to like Rina-san. For the sake of argument, let's assume I acknowledged an unreciprocated love like that. That would only be as long as it was love. If it wasn't love, if it was just a method to threaten and squeeze money out of him, I would never forgive her. I remember their conversation at the coffee house. Rina-san said that my father is a big spender. In fact, I think he spends more money without hesitation than before he met Rina-san. I was happy that he started to regain an interest in going out into the world again, but now I don't know whether I should be happy or not. He controls the money of the Ryugu family overall, but since I do the grocery shopping, he often gives me his bank book so that I can withdraw money. Because of that, I know where he keeps his bank book, his personal seal, and other important stuff. They're in one of his drawers, which he usually locks. I know where he hides the key, and I know the combination of the cash box inside the drawer. He might be coming back soon, so I felt a little nervous, but I had to make sure. I opened the cash box, which had some bank books, personal seals, stamps, and unused postcards. I removed everything from the cash box to get at the bank books. Then I found something new. On the bottom of the box, there was a bundle of new 10,000 yen bills. Its thickness wasn't something I could ignore. There was also a paper wrapper that looked like it had been bundling the bills. The wrapper had a stamp that said it was a bundle of 1,000,000 yen. He usually kept some cash at home because it was troublesome to go to the bank every time he needed money, but it was usually around 100,000 to 200,000 yen at most. He's never kept such a big amount of money at home before because he knows it's unsafe. The extraordinary amount of 10,000 yen bills was abnormally intimidating. I tried to open the bank book, but my fingers got numb all of a sudden. A part of me was trying to deny the things I heard at the coffee house. It wasn't because I wanted to defend my father, or even Rina-san. It was because I didn't want to believe my father was the husband in Hinamizawa the blackmailers were talking about. I opened the bank book. The last time I saw it was about 2 or 3 months ago. It shows countless withdrawals since that day. I probably wouldn't normally understand what those numbers meant, but I felt in that moment as if the 10 different digits were speaking to me. They were a series of cruel digits. It starts with some understandable expenses that I assume represent dinners or something, but then the amount of money starts to become nice round numbers like a 5 or a 10. I can tell by looking at the dates he withdrew money that he wanted to have a certain amount of cash on hand when he went out with Rina-san. Among those expenses, a big number appeared all of a sudden. It was too much money to spend on a date. Hundreds of thousands of yen. I looked at the date of the withdrawal and I traced it back in my memory. I remembered. Around that time, Rina-san was talking about moving into a new apartment. I know the market rate of rental apartments in Okinomiya. You need to put down 2 safety deposits and 2 payments of key money in order to rent an apartment. That amount of withdrawal sounded reasonable now. He paid the whole down payment for her new apartment. After that, big numbers appeared one after another. I could tell they were congratulatory gifts for her new apartment or something. The numbers got bigger and bigger. It looked like at first he was withdrawing only the amount of money needed, but then he started withdrawing big amounts all at once because he knew he was going to use it someday anyway. The change meant only one thing. He lost his sense of the value of money. The balance kept going down. I started feeling anxious about what's going to happen if he continued spending money like that. But then I saw a deposit of a big amount of money into the account. Where did that money come from? There was only one thing I could think of. I opened the other bank book. It was easy, like a puzzle for kids. It was like playing with an easy jigsaw puzzle that comes with huge pieces that you don't even have to put together to see what the whole picture looks like. My father was using money from his time deposits. In other words, the settlement my mother paid my father when she divorced him. To him, it's cursed money. I'd understand if he wanted to use it to get a new love, but that was just an excuse to use the money from his time deposits. Money is money. Even though it's his divorce alimony, it's still important money for our future. Even though it's cursed money to him, that doesn't mean he can waste it. Big expenses start appearing one after another. There are many expenses, upwards of 6 digits. For some reason, I could immediately tell they were for buying electric appliances and furniture. He must have been buying everything she asked him to. If from the beginning Rina-san was only seeking to check if he could end up being a big catch, she must have been trying to find how much money she could squeeze out of him. And my father bought her anything she wanted, no matter how expensive it was. So she probably thinks of him as the perfect catch now. The numbers in the bank book told me so. The simple numbers and dates on the bank book had started talking to me. Around the time he started withdrawing big amounts of money, Rina-san started coming to the house more often, and she also started spending the night. To Rina-san, my father was at first just a guy who spends big money, but around that time she landed her big catch. My father used to refer to her as my friend in Okinomiya at first, but he started referring to her as Rina-san around that time. This is partially his fault, but he was betrayed by his beloved wife, and he was feeling hurt and down for a long time. It's also partially my fault. That's why I didn't want to blame him. And he's not that good looking either. There's no way he's immune to women. He must have not been able to resist an attractive lady who aggressively approached him when he was feeling down. He's crazy about Rina-san, and he can see nothing other than her. I can't blame him because Rina-san trained him to be that way. I put the bank books and the other things back into the cash box. This cash box is just like my father's heart. Rina-san is eating up the contents. What should I do? Think, Rena Ryugu. Should I tell him about Rina-san's scheme? No, that probably wouldn't do anything. The whole point of taming an animal is that it won't run away from its owner even when the door is wide open. My father probably won't leave his cage even if I open the door. Should I confront Rina-san about her plot when he's with her? The results would be the same. Rina-san would run behind his back. He'd probably try to protect her. If she pressed her breasts against his back, he'd protect her no matter what. I couldn't make this a problem between me and him. First of all, I was trying to get rid of Rina-san for his sake. If we got mad at each other, it would give the advantage to Rina-san. It would be like I was putting myself into her trap. Then that meant I couldn't make him do anything. If I couldn't make him break up with Rina-san, I'd have to talk to Rina-san directly. So instead of making my father fight, I'd have to fight in his place. But how? That guy, Kasai-san, who was with Shi-chan today, seemed to know the man that Rina-san was with. I wonder if I can somehow meet him again. He looked scary, but I was introduced to him as a friend of Mi-chan. Mi-chan has a lot of power around here. There's no way he would treat me badly. I wonder if he could tell Rina-san and the man to back off from my father. That would help me a lot. But I didn't know how I could meet him again. I could ask Mi-chan for help, but I don't want her to know about my situation. This is a problem of the Ryugu family. This is nobody's business but mine. Yeah, this is a battle that I'd have to fight alone. I regretted my parents' divorce. I wept about the tragedy I could have prevented if I had tried. I wasn't going to weep this time. I wasn't going to let the chance slip away. This time, I would fight for my happiness. New tips unlocked, property estimate. And achievement unlocked, the husband in Hinamizawa. Let's view the new tip. Dear Ritsuko Mamiya-sama, Executive Housing Corporation. Attached estimate. We thank you for your past visits and inquiries to our office. We've included the estimate for the property you inquired about. Basic information. Property name, Palace of Versailles, room 707. Property code, 14M1421. Property type, modern condominium. Layout, 2LDK. Address, Shishibune City, Koiwacho 2 Chome. Transportation, Blank Line, Gogura Station, 5 minutes on foot. Cost, 49,800,000 yen. Maintenance fee, 20,000 yen. Other, Southeast corner room, elevator floor. Condominium fitness club membership included. Thank you for your interest in this property. The area around Gogura Station is a prime real estate zone for luxury condominiums. Along with future planned developments, the real estate values in and around the Gogura Station are expected to rise, and this property is not an exception. As a result, many prospective buyers are interested in this property. Hence, we'd like for you to understand that the selection process for this property will be done via lottery. We also offer celebrity member preferential treatment, granting highly improved chances through additional lottery entries. At the end of the last stream, I unlocked 2 tips but only went through 1? That doesn't sound right. I'll have a look. Please feel free to inquire with our agents for more details. Executive Housing Corporation. Celebrity Account Manager Kawabata. Let's have a look. Pretty sure we went through both of these. I'll check the stream myself after this one, and then I'll do it next stream if indeed I didn't do it. Oh, you're talking about Kasai-san. Yes? Why is it not progressing? He's Shion's watchdog. Her watchdog? Really? Yeah, he is. Shion tends to do crazy things. So she needs to have someone watch her all the time. I think you're as crazy as Shion. Keiichi cut into the conversation. They ended up making a lot of noise, teasing each other like they always do. Mio made it sound like that man, Kasai-san, is some sort of territory boss in Okinomiya. It wouldn't be easy for me to meet him in person, but because he's Shi-chan's watchdog, I might be able to find a way. The problem, though, is that I don't have any connection to Shi-chan either. We hang around every once in a while whenever she comes to Hinamizawa, but I've never called or visited her. I have no idea how we can meet. Even if I could meet Kasai-san, there's no guarantee that he'd help me. He seems like the kind of person who doesn't like to gossip about others. He told me about Rina-san at the coffee house only because Shi-chan pushed him to. Plus, the situation could grow worse very quickly while I waited for the chance to meet him, so any help he might offer could come too late. I remember Kasai-san told me that as her next step, Rina-san usually uses her partner to threaten their catch. That would signify the end of her performance. They were going to take all of my father's money. I wasn't feeling a sense of crisis yet, but that time might be coming very soon. Even as I was at school, taking a class peacefully, that man might already be at the house right at this moment, threatening my father to hand over his bank books. Once I become anxious, I get more and more anxious. I can feel a big pressure on my chest as if the ceiling had collapsed on me. Man, I'm so bored. My life is too peaceful. Hichikun talks to me, yawning. Is that so bad? I'd love to have a peaceful life that'd bore me. I don't. I wish some kind of big event would happen, like aliens coming to attack us or something. I'm not saying I'd like to have something like that every week, but at least at the end of every month or so. And that doesn't include our monthly test. If aliens really did come, destroyed the Earth, and burned all of Hinamizawa, would you be satisfied? Would you? No, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying that I want for some kind of excitement because I'm so bored. He had no idea what I've been going through, of course, and that's why he says that. But I was still irritated by his insensitivity. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't be satisfied with such a peaceful life. He never has to doubt that today and tomorrow will be as fun as yesterday. I was all too aware that boring and peaceful days could be destroyed all of a sudden. I knew that boring and peaceful days could come to an end all of a sudden because your mom wanted to divorce your dad. I knew that you could feel like you didn't belong anywhere in your own house because your dad had gotten a new girlfriend. Even so, you had to repeat the same kind of day over and over. That's why I want to live every day happily, in order to be prepared when the world comes to its end. I'm jealous of you, you know? You look so happy all the time. I wish I had that kind of skill. You're jealous of me, huh? How do you do it? How do you live every day not being bored but being happy? If it really is a skill, I'd love to learn how. It's easy. All you need to do is to realize. Realize what? There's no way he could realize it. And it was probably better that he didn't, because that meant he was truly happy. You just need to realize that your happy days will one day come to an end. The three of us walked home from school like we always did. Mi-chan said goodbye to us at the corner of the street where she took her separate way home. She walked away, waving, but I chased after her. Mi-chan! What? Mi-chan apparently thought she dropped something, and she looked around to see what she dropped. I almost forgot to tell you. I saw Shi-chan and Kasai-san yesterday at a coffee house. And I picked up something that Kasai-san dropped while he was there. Of course he hadn't dropped anything. I was lying. If I could meet him, I'd just show him whatever. Tell him I thought it was his and apologize for my mistake. Oh! Well, thank you then. I'll send it over to him in that case. I'd like to give it back to him in person. Huh? Mi-chan looked surprised. I couldn't blame her. I met him only once. It's weird to want to give something back in person to someone you barely know. Well, that's alright. But why? He had this cute beard and these cute sunglasses. And so crazy about cute things. Could I fudge my true intentions with my cute mode? I tried it anyway. Mi-chan usually takes words at their face value, and indeed she seemed to buy it. Please don't pull out his beard and take it home with you. So, do you think I can meet him? Well, I have no idea if he's busy or not. I'll ask him when he's coming to Hinamizawa next. I needed to know when as soon as possible. Of course, I wasn't going to say I wanted to meet him today, but at least tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. What are you guys doing? Hmm? It seems like Rena found a new love. No! How? Really? How interesting. I want to hear about it too. I didn't want her to leave it up in the air, so I told her, I think I should give it back to him as soon as possible. I'm sure he's looking for it too. Michan said, okay, twice, and walked away, waving. I hadn't yet thought about how I was going to ask for help when I would meet him. He seems to be in a higher position than Rina-san and her partner. If he agreed to help me, it would be very encouraging. But there was a possibility that he'd tell me he didn't want to interfere in other people's private matters. He could just say the whole thing was another love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Bye, Rena. See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. I said goodbye to Keiichi-kun and walked home alone. After Keiichi-kun was gone, everything went quiet and my head became clear. What I needed at that moment was quiet time to think about what I should do from then on. I shouldn't depend on Kasai-san to solve my problem. He'd most likely decline my request, so I'd have to think about some alternatives. It's probably better that I just do that. A love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Those two words bothered me because I've seen an unhappy triangle like that before. That sort of thing had happened to Satoshi-kun. Satoshi-kun experienced it last year. He fought for his sister in a triangle with his aunt. It was the same situation as mine. I'm trying to fight to protect my father. Satoshi-kun fought alone. Nobody helped him. All I did for him was give him my sympathy and compassion. I didn't think I could do anything more than that. I felt sorry for him, but I didn't really help him out. Irresponsibly, I tried to cheer him up, and I probably told him something that I thought would make him feel better, but that hurt him instead. I recently realized how much I hurt him with my insensitivity, because Keiichi had just hurt me the same way. I'm going down the same path Satoshi-kun went last year. I feel like I'm experiencing déjà vu, an unusual repetition. Would that mean that I'd be the one who gets demoned away this year? I should be okay. I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa. Was I? I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa, but I thought about running away from my home many times. That's why I made the place I could escape to in the garbage dump. That dump happened to be in Hinamizawa. But what if it wasn't? Running there would be the same thing as running away from Hinamizawa. I shouldn't think like that. Oyashiro-sama will get mad at me. Oyashiro-sama is really scary. I saw flickering lights in my head. Oh no. Every time I tried to remember that time, my mind would stop working properly. I remembered the vivid colors of my psychoactive drugs. The flickering lights and clouds started spreading in my head. It was so bright and annoying. Don't try too hard to remember. Don't try too hard to remember. No. I couldn't stop the flickering lights in my head. I couldn't have that feeling. I had to fill my heart with another feeling. Yeah, there was no time for these crazy flickering lights in my head. I had to think about what I should do for when Kasai-san declined my request for help. I had to protect my father from Rina-san and that bad man. Wait, why was I still calling her that? Rina is Rina. Rina. She's a bad person who deceived my father and tried to bring us unhappiness. Bad people bring bad things into the world without even doing anything. They're different from the other 90% of people who aren't bad. If you let them loose, they'll even ruin the people around them. When you have one bad tangerine in a box, it spreads its fungus to the other tangerines around it. That's what bad people are like. I couldn't remember how Satoshi-kun resolved his triangle last year. But I could still see the flickering lights in my head. They're still flickering. 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 Just as the swirl of flickering lights were making me dizzy, I saw my house. I also saw Rina-san's scooter parked by the side of the gate. The moment I saw the bike, the flickering lights disappeared, and I regained control of myself. Rina-san spent the night last night. She told me she had to work today in the evening, but she should be leaving soon. But I didn't want to be around her, even for the little while until she left. I said, "I'm home!" real loud, rushed into the house, pretended that my friends were waiting outside, and rushed out of the house. But Rina-san stopped me. Hey, Rina-chan! You're home! Ah, hello? This is the first time I thought Rina-san's smile was ugly. It only stood to reason. I'd realized the scheme she was hiding behind the smile. Your father and I went to Gogura for lunch today. There's a restaurant there that makes delicious Indian curry. My father poked his head out of the living room and he says, I want to go there again next time we go. I really liked that curry. I wondered if he meant with me next time or with me and her. Anyway, I hate it when Rina-san says your father. We brought you some curry home from the restaurant. Try it later. It's very good. Have you heard of that restaurant, Rina-chan? I did know the restaurant she was talking about. I saw it in a magazine. It's a new restaurant that just opened recently. I also remembered that it was an expensive restaurant. The amount of money they spent on the take-home curry alone must have been enough to carry the cost of all our dinners for several nights. Since I was aware of what was in the bank books, it was hard for me to stay calm. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Rina-san. Rina-chan, your father and I would like to talk about something with you. I'm sorry, but my friends are waiting for me, so I have to go. Huh? We're going to go treasure hunting at the garbage dump again. You really like treasure hunting, huh? I'd like to go there sometime. Well, I've got to go. Bye! Every time Rina-san moved her arms or head, the scent of her perfume struck my nostrils. I hate the smell of her perfume, so I couldn't stay there a second longer. I rushed out of the house and started running to get away from her perfume. So curry. The rubber band inside me, the one called Rena, was stretched all the way to its limit. I'm pretty sure I'd explode and go crazy if the rubber band broke. I didn't want to feel like that inside my own house. My house was supposed to be the place where I could open my heart freely. I ran away. I ran away from there. I ran farther and farther away from there because it was no longer a place I belonged. It's not that I had a destination in mind, I was just running away. I was running to escape to a place where I did belong. Didn't I decide to fight against that woman? Didn't I decide to fight against her either by myself or with my father? But then once I saw her fake smile, a chill ran up my back. It was like I picked up a stone, found a carpet of bugs underneath it, and put it back on the ground in a hurry. I rushed out of the house as fast as I could. Did I want to fight or did I want to run away? Was I just choosing to spend a peaceful time at my hideout, believing that tomorrow would be the same as today? I couldn't do that. I didn't know when they'd spring their trap. I couldn't afford to waste any time. I knew that deep down. I knew that, but I just wanted to run away. I couldn't stop myself from running away, and so I did run away. At times like this, the mattress in my hideout would feel so soft. That I knew. The cries of the Higurashi were soothing to the ears. They sounded as soft as my mattress. They were like music. They didn't force any feelings upon me. They cried as if to tell me to just be who I am. It was always so quiet here that I immediately noticed the purr of an engine coming closer. People used to come here and make a lot of noise during the dam conflict, but now nobody really comes here. This is a place forgotten, so it was rare to see somebody come through here at all. I sat on the roof of an abandoned car and waited for the intruder to go away without looking their way. But the purr of the engine stopped. I'm not stupid. If I stopped, I knew exactly who it had to be. I heard the person calling me, but I ignored it once. The person came closer, making it harder for me to ignore her, and she called my name again. I turned around this time.
Rina-san.
Rina-san.
Rina-chan.
Rina-chan, are you hard of hearing? I'm sorry. I guess I couldn't hear you because of the wind. She seemed to buy my poor excuse. She smiled and said, yeah, it happens sometimes. Are you here alone? Where's your friend? I'm playing here alone. Wow. It's rare for a girl your age to play alone. Rina-san stretched and looked across the huge garbage dump. I can't believe people throw so much scrap out here. Did you know? There used to be a place near Hirosaka where people threw tons of abandoned cars without wheels. I wasn't interested in Rina-san's old story, but I pretended to listen and nodded. She doesn't take this road to go back to Okinomiya. I guess she knew I'd be here and came by to see me. What did she want? It was obvious that she was just trying to make conversation. She probably took it personally when I avoided her earlier, which must be why she was here to butter me up. It would be better for her not to have any conflicts with the daughter of the man she's seeing, no matter what the intention of seeing him is. In that sense, it was a reasonable action for her to take. While I listened to her old story, all I could think about was when she was going to leave. Didn't I have to fight against her? Didn't I decide to fight against her? Didn't I find out her plot at the coffee house in Okinomiya? Didn't I find out that this woman is squeezing money out of my father when I looked inside his cash box? I know who you are. Please leave my father alone. How easy it would be if those 2 sentences could solve the problem. She'd probably deny it. Even if I told her about what I heard at the coffee house, I have no evidence of her plot. If she said that she did it because the vulgar man was threatening her, there would be nothing I could do. But I know this woman is a bad person. I know something horrible will happen in the near future if I waste time like this. A strange, tense feeling started coming over me. I didn't know how to let it out. As the feeling started running high, I became unable to stand the smell of her perfume. I wanted to put a certain distance between me and her, so I climbed down the slope of the scrap heap. I kept going down and down. The slopes of the garbage dump. When I turned around, I saw her coming down as well, muttering. Was she following me? In order to run away from her, I started running down the slope all the way to the bottom, went around behind some trash piles, and arrived at the front of my hideout. My escape was meaningless. Not only was she going to catch up with me eventually, all I did was let her know the way to my hideout that nobody's supposed to know about. Let the hate flow through. I wanted to make sure she never saw my precious hideout. I was about to leave, but then she appeared. Wow! This is cool. It's like a secret base. This is my secret hideout. Nobody comes here, and nobody can hear us. I felt strange hearing myself say that. So this is your secret hideout, huh? I'm honored to be invited here. She must have thought I told her my secret base because she was worth sharing it with. She looked happy. She found the station wagon, looked inside of it through the window, and went all ooh and ah excitedly. This is a secret place that nobody else knows. I felt like my consciousness was separating from my body, like I was floating. But it didn't feel good like when I drank amazake. It was more like being car sick. I felt like I was going to throw up. My brain was probably secreting some chemical in order to avoid facing the reality that I have to stay with this woman, that I couldn't run away from her. Even if my brain tried to avoid recognizing it, the reality in front of me wouldn't change. She's seen too much yesterday. Now I'll be the perfect time to get rid of the witnesses. You guys are savage. I say like I don't know what's gonna happen. Rina-chan. Yes? What's wrong? Are you feeling okay? Yes, I'm fine. I inhaled fresh air and pulled my consciousness back to reality. I didn't feel like throwing up anymore, but I still felt off balance. I leaned onto a scrap of garbage to keep my balance. I like you, Reina-chan. Do you like me? What are you talking about all of a sudden? I said that because I didn't want to say that I like her. I've been seeing your father for quite a long time now, and we've been talking about many things, you know? I needed to stop feeling like this. Get up, Rena! I'd heard something like this before. Part of me was trying to understand what this woman was trying to say, but another part of me was trying not to. I felt as if her words were bouncing around in my head, and I started having a headache. We had a serious talk about our future the other day. You know, about our life together and so on. What? You like Uncle Akihito, don't you, Reina? So, your father and I are... What's going on? Mother? What are you thinking about, Rina Ryugu? This is an important moment. You're about to have a one-on-one battle with Rina-san. No, Mom. What about my dad? What about me? I don't want you to divorce him. I don't want you to get remarried to anybody else. No, please don't divorce him. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not gonna let you get remarried.
再婚なんて
I'm not gonna let you get married to my father.
え
What?
お父さんとどういう
I
付き
don't
合い
care
方
if
を
you go
した
out
っ
with
て
him,
構いませんが
but I'm not going to let you get married to my father. She must have not thought that I'd say it straight out like that. She looked stunned. After a while, she broke the silence with her laughter. I thought you might reject me, but I didn't think you'd say it straight out like that.
拒絶もあるかなと思って
You
い
thought
ま
I
した
might reject you?
私が拒
I'm
絶
surprised
して
you
いた
even
のに
noticed
気
that I
づい
was
ていた
doing
の
it.
は意外でした
そんなの
Of course I
わかる
did.
でしょ。あんた
You always ran away whenever you saw me.
すぐ逃げるもん。それで分かって
You
ない
thought
の
I
と
didn't
思って
know?
た？子供は
That's why I
嫌ね
hate kids. She frowned, revealing her ugly self. It should have been the first time I saw her face like that, but I wasn't surprised at all. Her face had looked like that to me from the beginning.
できれば
I wanted to get along with you if I could, at least on the surface. And I guess it's hard to do that now since you hate me so much.
私の
What do you hate about me?
高額のた
I'd
め
like to
に
know
教
for
えてよ
future reference.
最初から
Everything.
全部
I hate everything about you.
匂い
I
も
hate your
嫌い
smell, too. One vicious word came out from my mouth after another. I didn't have wings, but I felt as if I was flying up to the sky. I felt weird and uncomfortable, but also exhilarated. I felt as if I was letting another me use my body. I was in the middle of a disastrous battlefield, but I felt like it wasn't even my business.
そり
It
ゃ
is kind of nice to fucking put someone down if they're actually, if they're an asshole and you feel like they deserve it. I shouldn't say put someone down. That's not really the right wording to use. Put someone in that place, I guess I should say, if they're an asshole, basically. That's just fine with me.
私もあんた
Because I hate you too. I guess we're even.
よね
You little fucking brat! You better shut your fucking mouth or I'll make you.
二度と家へ来
Never
ない
come to my house again.
再婚なん
I'll
て
never let you get married to
私
my
が
father.
絶対に許さない
I don't need your permission,
許
you
してもら
know.
わなくてもいいんだけどまあ
Well, why don't you try and stop your father from remarrying? Let's see what happens. I think you're wasting your time, though. She didn't look intimidated by me at all, and that made me feel a little intimidated in return. Why was she so confident of her absolute control over my father? She had to have more than confidence to be able to act as fearless as this. She had to have more than confidence to be able to act as... Oh. She must have something tangible. Before I asked her what it was, she told me herself.
私ね
I'm pregnant.
嘘だ
You're lying!
嘘じゃない
I'm not lying.
本当よ
It's true. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a big lie. She has to divorce because she got pregnant. She has to get married because she got pregnant. That's a lie! That's a big lie!
向こうから
I'm
の
a
お願いだから
Christian, so I can't get an abortion.
指輪
He'll
も
just have to
もらっちゃ
accept
った
it.
しそれに
Plus, we had sex with marriage in
結婚は前提
mind.
のお付き合いだったわけだしね指輪ま
He
で
made me
送ったんで
pregnant. If he changes his mind and takes no responsibility, it's going to be a big mess, you know.
最近は問題が多いわよね
That was
それ
your
が最初
plan,
から
wasn't
目
it?
的のくせに私は
I overheard it!
お前
I heard the conversation you had with that man, Te-chan, at the coffee house. I know you started seeing my father for his money. I know you call him your husband in Hinamizawa. I know he's just a big catch for you. I know everything because I heard it from Kasai-san. I know you do badger games too.
あら
Oh, you
全
knew?
部知ってるんだあらららら
Well,
ら
well, well. Before I knew it, Rina-san was standing right in front of me. We glared at each other with our faces almost touching.
で
So,
レイナちゃんはそこま
Rina-chan,
で知
you
って
know
て
everything. And what do you think you're gonna do?
お父さん
Don't come near my father ever
二度
again.
と近づかないでください
いや
What if I refuse?
こんな
You wanted to talk to me at your secret hideout, right? I kind of knew what you wanted to talk to me about. You brought me to your secret hideout where nobody knows and nobody can hear us, right?
誰にも何も聞こえない
そうです
Yeah, you're right.
誰も知らな
Nobody
くて
knows about this place and nobody can hear us
誰
here.
も聞こえない誰も訪れ
Nobody
る
comes
こと
here because it's a place forgotten.
忘れられた場所
Our faces were so close to each other that our noses could almost touch. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know what would happen next. I couldn't back down now that I'd come to this point. but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I should do. Come on, let's not do this. Let's be friends again. Rina started laughing and slapped me on the back. My expression didn't change, and I kept staring at Rina. But I didn't notice her real intention of putting both of her arms around my neck. The tension broke, already stretched thin, and Rina squeezed my neck hard. I was openly hostile, but I didn't realize Rina's evil intentions until she started choking me. You little brat! So close to getting millions of yen. If you at least pretended to get along with me, I would have given you a good allowance. But you just can't keep your fucking mouth shut, can you? You got some fucking nerve! Brat like you should die! I tried to pry her hands off my neck, but I didn't have the strength to do so. I didn't want to kill you. I'll probably never get as big a hatch as your father again. So I don't mind killing you for millions of yen. I was going to disappear after I got that money anyway. This is what you get for talking back to me! The world around me got darker and darker. I mean, there's no baby in there. It's just a zygote. Serena. I know that that's like a controversial thing, and some people are like, oh, the minute the fucking cells touch, that's a human, but you know, most people don't agree with that. You know, and there's like a scale there, you know, people fall different parts on there, but I mean, you know, it's gotta have just happened, like, even if she's even telling the truth, which I'm not actually sure if she is. I don't think the text ever explicitly states if that's the case or not. Anyway, I had never known an evil intention like this, namely the intention to kill me. It didn't scare me, though. That's because being scared is a feeling that people use to express how they feel when they see a wildfire on the other side of a river. People on the island with the wildfire, with their deaths right in front of them, they don't get scared. If I loosened my grip on her hands even a little bit, she'd crush my throat. This was a simple competition to see who was stronger. Rina wanted to get into the most advantageous position, so she tried to push me down to the ground so that she could mount me. If I let her do that, I wouldn't stand a chance. I tried to keep my current position, but I was losing a lot of energy by being choked. It was only a matter of time before Rina could push me down. I lost my balance on purpose. Yeah, she probably is lying. There's no way that, like, either she is, she's either lying or she definitely would totally just get an abortion anyway. Anyway, I tried to fall backwards in order to put her off balance. I couldn't hold my breath long enough to keep up that strength competition, so I had no choice but to take that chance. We fell on the ground, tangled together, but as Rina was strongly determined to kill me, she didn't even take her hands away from my neck after she fell. However, my action made Rina loosen her grip on my throat. It wasn't loose enough for me to break free from her grip, but it gave me a few moments to use my hands for something other than stopping her from crushing my throat. If I hadn't taken the chance, I would have been done for. That's why I tried to literally seize my chance. I moved both of my hands on the ground. To seize that chance, I felt a piece of broken glass on my right hand. That was truly my chance to literally save myself from the brink of death. I cut Rina's wrist deep with the piece of glass. Rina tried to endure the pain for a few seconds, but pain that severe from someone so cornered soon broke her will. She let go of my throat to cling to her bloody wrist. I used that moment to roll away from her. Oh, that's right. It fucking hurts! She screamed both in pain and also to try and intimidate me again. It didn't work anymore, though. Intimidation only works on the opponent when the opponent is hesitant to fight. When you're already in a fight, screaming like that means nothing more than letting the opponent know how badly you're hurt. I no longer had any hesitation. I had learned from Rina. She taught me what I have to do in a situation like this. That's right. This is my secret hideout. I know every single piece of junk in here. Maybe I knew that a day like this was coming. Was it just a coincidence that it was there? I pulled out a meter-long lead pipe, not at all surprised to see it there. I raised it up high and brought it back down. There was no way Rina could block this hard and heavy lead pipe with just her arms. She probably tried to block it with the palms of her hands in order to take it from me, but her long nails wouldn't let that happen. Unable to catch it the way she wanted, she broke her fingers and some of her nails came off too. Her scream made me realize that I had the advantage. An advantage I would have to keep. If I didn't, she'd turn the tables just like I did, and then she'd choke me to death for sure. Stop! Stop it! Wait! Rina shielded her head with her arms, but it didn't help. All that would change is that I break her arms before I broke her face. I'm serious! Stop it right now! I'm serious too. Die! 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 You should die! Yeah, that's right. I should have done this a long time ago. I didn't need proof. I didn't have to talk to anybody. That's stupid. That's nonsense! I should have done this a long time ago. If I had done it a long time ago, my father wouldn't have been deceived. I could have protected him. I could have protected my family. I could have protected my life. I could have been myself. My mother wouldn't have divorced my father. I could have stayed happy. I wouldn't have had to be unhappy. I was going to recapture my happiness. At this moment, I'm going to win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry for misfortune. I'm not going to give in to a fate of unhappiness. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to seize my happiness right now with my own 2 hands. Rina tried to run away from me. But as she no longer had the use of her hands, it made it difficult for her to stand up to escape, especially since there were scraps of junk everywhere on the ground. After all, this is my hideout. This is my territory. Nobody can run away from me here. She tried to climb up the slope of garbage, slipped, fell, and rolled all the way back down. She didn't stand up or move. Her eyes were open and her neck was bent at an unusual angle. I didn't know how to make sure she was dead, so I kept looking at her opened eyes for a while. She could be faking it for all I know. But she didn't close her eyes, no matter how long I waited. I scooped up a handful of sand and threw it on her face. She still didn't close her eyes. Thud! The lead pipe slipped out of my hand and hit the ground. When I tried to pick it up, I realized how heavy it was, and I was surprised that I was wielding it as though it was a knife. I was sweating all over. The cold wind felt good on my skin. The cries of the Higurashi were calming me down and healing my soul. Rina was just like a broken dummy now. She had become a piece of junk. I am the owner of this land of junk. I've defended it from her intrusion. Now she was a resident of this junkyard. I didn't feel bad about killing her. In fact, I felt rather fulfilled that I defeated the evil woman who had deceived my father. I started breathing slowly and calmly, and I regained enough energy to analyze the situation. I'd have to hide her body. First, I had to get rid of her scooter. I climbed up the slope and kicked her scooter down the hill. It rolled down the slope, making a lot of noise, and blended in with all the junk as it stopped, like it was there from the beginning. I went back down the slope and started dragging her body to my hideout. It should have taken as much effort as dragging a 50-kilogram sandbag, but it felt lighter than that. It was just a sandbag, and it brought disaster to my family. I didn't lure her here in order to kill her. Or did I? Maybe I just didn't notice that I had that intention deep down in my heart. But even so, I felt like this was the best and most expedient solution. There was no better solution than killing her. How wasteful to depend on someone to help me, to wait for the day to come when they will. I remembered the murder of Satoshi-kun's aunt that happened last year. I had no doubt that Satoshi-kun murdered her, but I've never been as convinced as I am right at this moment. How could he have saved Satoko-chan other than by killing his aunt last year, at that time, in that circumstance? My situation was much the same as his. How could I have saved my father other than by killing her? If I was planning a murder, I would have been under a lot of pressure and stress, but for better or for worse, the moment came to me out of nowhere. That's why I believe I solved my problem with as little trouble as possible. Now that she's gone, will anyone become suspicious about her disappearance? She was an irresponsible person who skipped work at her own convenience. So I didn't think anybody would get suspicious when she'd disappear one day. She was a big mess from the start. People would think she went into hiding because she got in deep trouble with someone. I didn't need to fabricate an alibi. All I needed to do was to get rid of her body. It took me a while to figure out how to do that last part. Hiding her body would be very risky, but my brain had become so calm that it did some calculations and came up with an answer right away. Yes, this place is still the safest. This is a place forgotten. Nobody comes here. Nobody knows this place is here. I knew that because I've been spending a lot of time here. Compared to taking the risk of carrying her body to some other place, it was a lot safer to just hide it here. But it wasn't perfect yet. This place wouldn't remain a secret forever. I could hide it here for now, but I'd have to come up with the perfect way to make it completely disappear. It's a lot easier to think about that than thinking about how to make Rina break up with my father. I stuffed her corpse into a broken refrigerator in a trash pile. I wanted to cover the refrigerator with dirt and bury it, but that was too easy. I had to chop the corpse into pieces and make them completely disappear. I felt like it got dark all of a sudden. No, I didn't get dark all of a sudden. I just didn't realize it was getting dark until just then. I could hear thunder from a distance. It might rain soon. I could use some rain. It would wash Rina's dirty blood into the ground. I should go home. I should think about what I do tomorrow. I was going to stay right beside my father until he forgets about her. He might be hurt at first, but we're going to recapture our happiness for sure. Our happy, peaceful life. My body was heavy with exhaustion, but I also felt fulfilled because I took a very important first step today. I'll keep taking one step after another. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm not going to cry until I win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry again. You don't need to get remarried. That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed the sad tone in my voice, and realizing that I didn't agree with the idea of his remarriage, he looked down. I understand. I know how you feel, Rena. I should have talked about it with you first, and... That woman is lying to you about her pregnancy. Don't talk like that! Rina-san is... I'll tell you the truth. That woman and a guy called Tet-chan are a team of bad people. She went out with you only because she was trying to get our money. My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset instead because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house. As I expected, he defended Rina anyway. I was upset, but at the same time it made me certain that there was no other way than to kill her. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. My father thought he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face instead. Hey, Rena, let's sit down with a cup of tea and talk. I'm sure you'll understand once you hear me out. A tamed animal is still tamed, even after the owner is dead. That's okay. I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day that he's no longer in captivity. That's not something that I could teach him. He had to realize it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain, just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I did what I could do. Now I'd have to wait. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than I expected. At midnight of the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Tet-chan man, Teppei Hojo. Teppei didn't even knock on the door to get in. He broke into the house by smashing the window. At first I thought he came here to ask us about Rina's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason why Teppei came here was because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their badger game. Rina was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at that time tonight. Teppei must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Teppei looked around the house, but he couldn't find Rina. He didn't change the plan, though. He grabbed my father by his collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rina and shouted at him, saying, "You got my wife pregnant! How are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married. He looked shocked. My father is a short guy who's faint of heart. He just let Teppei do and say whatever he wanted from beginning to end. I looked at them from a distance coldly. The more Teppei yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. This was a medicine for him. Teppei was cutting out the cancer that I was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. I wanted to help my father. I waited to help my father until I was sure that he had finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Teppei that I had something very important to tell him and took him outside. So, what do you want? Has Rina-san come back to Okinomiya since yesterday? As a matter of fact, she's hiding somewhere. What? I don't get it. Rina-san told me to take you to her when you came to my house. Huh? The fuck is Ritsuko thinking? Teppei followed me without hesitation. We walked in the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us. The place forgotten. He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Rina. The way I said it seemed to make him think that Rina was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in a rage, he walked right behind me without any suspicions. I knew this day was going to come very soon, so I was well prepared for it. We reached this place where I originally planned to bring him, and I turned off the flashlight all of a sudden. Oh, what's going on? Everyone gets nervous when the only light in the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need any light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. I grabbed the big hatchet I'd hidden in a bush and lifted it up high. I'm sorry, I guess the battery went out. Hold on a second. Okay, hurry it up. I purposely sounded weak and helpless while I raised the hatchet into the air. Oh, I got a lighter. I'll just fire this baby up. Teppei found a lighter in his pocket and lit it up. He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting up a big hatchet right in front of him. Huh? Teppei's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood that his life was in danger. And yet, he must not have been able to think fast enough to deal with it, even though he understood what he should do. Hang on, let me see if I can switch art styles here. Oh god, the manga game sprite is ugly as fuck. Oh god, the original! Anyway. Even if he could think fast enough and blocked his head with his arms, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Teppei would come to my house eventually. That's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon very carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. And so, there can only be one result. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and this told me that I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at the coffee house, but he sure went down quickly when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in by a single blow. Teppei slowly fell to his side with the hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence, but I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I've killed someone before. It's all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind are all gone. I did what I had to do in order to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when my mom told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I've had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Rena, let's finish it up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. I thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I still felt uncomfortable, and shone the flashlight at my hands several times. I did all this in order to be happy. I did all this, so I should be happy now. I tried so hard that I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oyashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind the time back to the day everything started to go wrong, can't I? Yeah, Ritsuko did put up... Yeah, I'm enjoying these comments. Second time Teppei's got murdered by a child. Ritsuko put up more of a fight than you. To be fair, Ritsuko attacked first. And Han shot first. I already... I mean, no, I never have a thumbnail thought out. Unless I know for a fact that a thumbnail is coming up, which I usually don't. God, the original upset. I'm not doing that. No, I'll just make it a screenshot of Oishi pissing on the shrine gate. I'm going to stay in Hinamizawa. I'm going to live happily with my father forever. It's rare to see Rena sleep in class. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because of staying up so late. She had to be tired. Oh, I guess it's back to Keiichi. She had to be tired from doing housework or something. Everybody seemed to be thinking the same thing. Nobody tried to wake her up, not even Chie-sensei. She got up for a few seconds and went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. But she's in class, so I should wake her up, right? I was about to wake her up, but before my hand touched her, Mion gave me a sign not to. Let her sleep. She must be really tired today. You're right. I heard a few days ago that Rena lives with her father. She studies during the day, plays a lot after school, and does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother had divorced her father. Mion told me that, and she also told me not to talk about it because Rena's still hurt by the divorce. I didn't even notice that she'd been through such a tough time. Rena's the kind of girl who doesn't show her pain to others. She always looks happy and cheerful, but she might be acting that way on purpose. Rena told me that happy days will one day come to an end. She told me she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? I had no idea. That's probably why she tried to spend as much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she could. I must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents, who are both healthy and happy. For that matter, Satoko and Rika-chan lost their parents too. Mion lives with her grandmother away from her parents, because she needs to learn to be the head of the Sonozaki family in the future. When I realized all that, I felt bad about my situation. You forgot how much you loved the music in the song. Also just noticed that the music is almost muted. It's not copyright, actually. I just tend to have music low in the mix. Here you go. It can be a little louder. Is that good? Maybe here-ish? Mion seemed to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face. Yeah, no, I don't actually get copyright claims for soundtracks. It's only for, the OPs give me copyright claims, but they're not strikes. I just can't monetize the parts with the openings in them. But I don't monetize my videos anyway, because I can't, because I don't have enough. I'm not a YouTube partner. And even if I could, I don't know if I would, because I hate ads. So, there you go. If you want to support me, though, I have a Ko-Fi, which you can find on my channel in the links section. Okay, anyway. A family is the most common community for kids like us to live in. But it's not the only community we have. You mean friends? You're right.
俺たちはレナにとって家族に負けないくらいの存在なんだろうか。
Rena does cleaning, laundry, cooking, and shopping, so she must be tired every day. Mion's louder than sliced bread. Are you saying the game's like way too loud now, or?
それに疲れて昼寝だけして過ごすことだってレナにはできるんだよ。
If you want it to be louder, then we can do that. I don't know. Okay, it was like down here, and then I put it up to here. I will put it like here-ish. It's a little louder than it was, so you can hear the music well enough, but I do want to be clear over it, yeah. The reason is that I want to be very clear over the game. But to be fair, that's probably not much of a concern anyway, because I'm a loud motherfucker. But she doesn't do that. She spends her afternoons playing with us. That means... how should I put it? That means we're her best friends. So you're saying we're friends with as much value as family to her? Mion looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what I was talking about. I didn't know what friends meant for you until today. But I believe friends are just as important and valuable as family. Find the music how it was before. So, quiet. Okay. It's actually very easy to understand. Rika-chan joined our conversation. The important thing is to have people around whom you can feel comfortable. Sometimes you call them family, or sometimes you call them friends. It's just a matter of the word you use. Are friends the same as family to you, Rika-chan? Yes, they are. I believe they are to Satoko, me, and Rena, too. I guess that's why we always try to stay together. Do you ever feel lonely when you're with your friends? They're my family. So I'm not lonely. Mio nodded in agreement. Satoko was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she would nod as well. Rena would too. I'm a little embarrassed. Why? I've been using the word friends, but I don't think I understood its true meaning until today. Friends are more important and irreplaceable than I thought they were. That's like common sense. So you should take this opportunity to remember that. Yeah, I will. I also recommend that you don't say that again. Kei-chan, you just said something very embarrassing, you know? After all that, Mion still made fun of me. I think I understand a little better why Rena was always so serious about having fun. I want to be her best friend, and I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort. Oh. Rena snored. It sounded cute. Chie-sensei let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring. Class president, wake her up, please. Rena, get up. Ah. Rena was still half asleep and made a strange noise. Everybody in the class laughed. Rena noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away, and acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. It looked really funny, and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue, and the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. This perfect weather wouldn't last forever. It could get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. That's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. The cries of the cicadas sound as if they're laughing at us because we still have some classes left. Ah, damn it, I can't wait for school to finish. Keiichi-kun, you look very happy today. Did something special happen today? Nothing. Today's today. Tomorrow's tomorrow. Right? Yeah. I'm just happy that we have perfect weather today. I don't care about the weather tomorrow. I want to enjoy today as much as I can. When the weather changes, I don't want to regret that I didn't. I learned that from Rena. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have, and that they're irreplaceable. Mion, what are we doing today for club activities? We need something very exciting for the punishment, too. That's the spirit I like, Kei-chan. Because you insist, I'll put you through a living hell. Keiichi-kun, don't provoke her too much. Hey, you scared, Rena? I know you're better than that. Let's show her our true power again. Remember, we haven't brought an end to our last battle. I grinned at her, and she grinned back. I do remember that. Okay, let's do it then. Rina-san, you certainly got me last time. For that, I must pay you back with interest. This is getting very interesting. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait for school to finish. I couldn't wait either, but that time we spent just talking together is also very precious. Yeah, it would be nice if school ended soon. New tips unlocked. My favorite wine. Achievement unlocked. Collateral. And it shows the bloody hatchet. My favorite wine. Satoko went to join the children playing in the schoolyard. Since I didn't feel like going, I decided to stay at home. Most likely, she wouldn't be back until the evening. When Satoko wasn't around, I had ways of spending time without her. Besides, that was what I wanted to do anyway. I stuck my hand deep inside the pile of winter futons in the closet and pulled one out. Next, I filled a stylish-looking glass with ice. The ice made in the freezer smelled of chlorine, though, and didn't taste good. Store-bought ice would be the best, but since Satoko kept asking me what I was using it for, I stopped buying it. But it might be worth spending time to think about a good excuse for that if it meant I'd be able to enjoy ice again without ever smelling like chlorine. I filled the glass with mineral water, and then poured a little bit of another liquid into the glass. Watching the color mix into the transparent water was a very pleasant thing. This wasn't the right way to drink it, but I liked it that way, and didn't want to hear any complaints. My body is very convenient because I can get drunk with only a tiny amount. That's why I dilute that small amount with a full glass of water, and thanks to that I could enjoy a single bottle for a long time. It wasn't bad if you thought about it like that. I put a cushion on my favorite spot by the window. With the glass in one hand, I enjoyed the familiar view and the soft wind brushing through my hair. A slightly sweet, ripened aroma tickled my nose. And just when I was about to start enjoying the atmosphere, the annoying one came back. She didn't like this bad habit of mine, and she complained every time I tilted the glass. She started nagging me noisily. Shut up. Be a little more tolerant. I can drink and eat whatever I want. You can't! Kids aren't supposed to drink alcohol! I tried to ignore her, but she started making a fuss, as if trying to ruin the atmosphere on purpose. There was no way I could enjoy getting drunk like this. I glared at her and threw the drink out the window. Do you want to know why I'm depressed? I'm depressed because the way I die has been decided. It seemed like she finally understood why I wanted to drown myself in alcohol. You don't have to feel down. I get to die instantly, so it's not that scary. My body will be burned and cut in pieces, but I'll be able to die instantly. But not yet. I know. Not yet. When am I going to die again? I think it's the night of the 25th of June. It's about a week after the Watanagashi festival. Well, that sounds reasonable. Is it my fault? Of course it is. Are you serious? Oh, sorry, I want to do that one again. Oh. She was the one who asked me, yet she cried when I told her she was right. Ah, jeez, she's always so annoying. Let's keep trying. I'm sure I'll get 6 in a row on the next board game. June 25th. I still had 10 more days. I was going to relax and enjoy those 10 days. I still had some wine left, too. Very interesting. Okay. It's been very hot for the past few days, and the corpses went rotten quickly. Any housewife knows how fast fresh meat can go bad. I know it too. That's why the first thing I did was to dismember the corpses. There's only one reason why I needed to dismember them. I had to reduce them to a portable size, in order to carry them to a place where they'll never be found. When men see the words dismembered corpses, they'll probably feel disgusted because they don't cook. But housewives are used to taking the guts out of a fish, and they sometimes even see living maggots. They take the maggots off of the food, or even cook it with the maggots still on. The heat will kill them, after all. Women don't tell men what they do in the kitchen, because men wouldn't eat the food if they knew. So did Satoko know from the start that Keiichi didn't kill Rika? Are you talking about in Tatarigoroshi? Because I'm not sure I understand your question. Why would she know that Keiichi didn't kill Rika? That's not Satoko that Rika was talking to in that tip, if that's what you're thinking. Satoko is out playing. This is the annoying one, who always complains about Rika drinking. So it didn't really bother me much to dismember them. I was released from all my problems by killing them. Cleaning up the mess was like nothing to me because I got freedom and regained my happiness. I dismembered the corpses using carpenter's tools like a saw and a hatchet. I'm wearing a black sweatsuit I bought for today because I thought I might get stained with blood. Bloodstains don't show on black fabric, and I could just throw it away after it's done. I brought a plastic sheet I found in the dump because I thought the blood might spread otherwise. If I did the work on this sheet, I could just burn it after I was done. In the end, dismembering human bodies is no different than preparing food from a chopping board. I was very tired from chopping apart 2 adult bodies, but I didn't have a problem doing it. I cut off their arms, legs, and heads, dividing each body into 6 pieces. I heard before that blades get easily ruined by fat when you cut apart a corpse, so I brought many kinds of tools. And I was right. I didn't have to go back and forth between here and my house to get another tool in the middle of work. Okay. Fair enough, Daisy. A long time ago, the construction manager was murdered, and his body was dismembered here during the dam conflict. He was cut into 6 pieces in the same way. Well, I had 2 bodies, so there was double that, though. I remembered the main suspect was still on the loose, and the victim's arm he hid hadn't been found yet. I wonder where he hid it. I'd like to ask him. I smiled wryly. Unlike the arms, legs, and heads, the torsos were difficult to take care of. I thought about cutting them into smaller pieces, but I decided against it because I thought it'd be troublesome to clean up the guts. I put each piece in a black trash bag and sprayed on a lot of deodorant. I wasn't sure if that would help against the smell, though. Many bugs flew around me while I was dismembering the corpses. After I finished putting all the pieces into each bag, the bugs were still flying around, but that was just because they could smell the blood. Yes, we learn who the mystery person is in the next arc. That's correct. At the start of the next arc, as a matter of fact. So, don't miss that, if you're interested. After I cleaned up everything, they were all gone. Well, I say we learn who they are, sort of. We learn their name and appearance. Not much else about them. They're kind of mysterious, and I'm not sure how much is even said in the series anyway, but I'll say no more. Now all I need to do is get rid of these 12 black bags. Burning them would be easiest, but I don't think I can burn them to ashes without using a cremator. The best way is to bury them somewhere. Other than the torsos, every piece is small enough to fit in my backpack. I could easily carry them without being noticed. I could throw them into the river running through the dam construction site, but if I did that, somebody would find them for sure. I've seen on the news several times before that a bag with a body part in it was found beside a river. Every time I heard something like that, I always thought the murderer was stupid. I thought about dumping them into the Onigofuchi swamp, but rotten meat floats. I thought about weighting the bags, but there's no guarantee they'd stay down. So that left me one choice, to bury them. There are many unexplored mountains at the edge of the abandoned districts around Yagouchi and Takatsudo. It's probably best to bury them somewhere in the mountains. While it would be safe to bury them here in the garbage dump too, it's not perfectly safe. And so I'm going to bury all these bags somewhere deep inside of a mountain in order to completely erase the 2 of them. My joints hurt since I've been using muscles I don't normally use. I cleaned up the mess very carefully and got into my hideout. While still wearing the sweatsuit, I laid down on the mattress. I washed my hands carefully, but there was still dirt and blood under my nails. I should take a shower later and wash it off completely. When I say things like disposing of corpses, it sounds like I'm the greatest evil of the century. But that's only true if I get caught. What I did isn't a crime as long as I don't get caught. Plus, I didn't do this because I wanted to commit a crime. I didn't do anything wrong. I did this to protect my father's life and mine. People might speak ill of me, but I don't care about them. In the end, I don't think anybody can really pass judgment on my sins. Sins aren't something to pass judgment on. They're something to confess and to atone for. In other words, nobody can measure the weight of a sin other than the person who committed the crime. Do I regret what I did? Do I feel sorry? No. I don't think I did anything wrong. I truly believe there was no better way than killing them. I'm sure it was the right thing because my life had already started to change since the night I killed them. A few days earlier, I just came home after killing Teppei. My father was cleaning the room Teppei had trashed earlier. His eyes were swollen. He'd been crying. Rina, where have you been? I was talking with him. I said, Harina-san will never come to our house again, so please leave us alone. Therefore, he'll never come back. I don't think he'll stay away from us that easily. You should watch out for him for a while, too. It's hard to explain to him why Teppei would never come back. I can't tell him he shouldn't worry because I killed him. I grabbed ice cubes from the freezer, put them in a plastic bag, and handed it to my father. Here you go, Dad. Your cheeks are swollen. He must have only noticed it just then. Oh, thank you. Don't worry about cleaning up the mess. I'll do it. I'll get the vacuum cleaner. Rina! He called out to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. They make their living by deceiving people. You were just one of their targets. Rina, did you know who they were?
Yes, I found out recently. I didn't tell you because I thought you wouldn't believe me. I'm sorry.
He looked down. When he told me about how he wanted to get remarried, I told him that they were bad people and that they scammed others with badger games. But he didn't listen to me, so I was right in saying that he wouldn't have believed me at all.
She took advantage of your pain.
I'm a very bad father. Then he started talking about how he met Rina, as if trying to absolve his guilt. It was when he was suffering the most and he needed to drink away his sorrow. At a bar he happened to go to, Rina-san was the one who came to his table. It was her job to be a good listener when her customers talked. Rina must really have been a great listener, and offered words of comfort when he talked about the divorce. If he was emotionally stable, he could have taken it as a kindness that she was only offering at the time, but he was so desperate that he took it the wrong way. After that, the tragedy was inevitable. He wanted to believe that it was destiny, and he glamorized everything about her. It would be easy to laugh at him and say that he was just dreaming, but I don't blame him because being weak is also part of being human. He had plenty of opportunities to grow suspicious of her questionable spending habits, but my father just read even that behavior as an attempt to cheer him up. He bought everything she asked him to, and Rina had landed her catch. He shouldn't have brought his lover to the house where his daughter lived, but he was crazy about her and he didn't even think about it. I'd forgotten that I was a father first. What was I thinking? He started crying. I held his shoulders gently.
It's okay. You realized it in the end. You're my father, no matter what. You're the only family I have.
He couldn't stop moaning. We held each other and cried together.
The next day, my father got up early in the morning. He was already cooking breakfast when I got up, and he told me,
"Your father is going to get his act together from today onward."
Dad, you should have used salad oil before you cooked them sunny side up.
It's been a long time since I cooked. He pried off the burning eggs on the pan with a spatula, then he added salad oil to it. It was too late. Doing that just made it an even bigger mess. But I didn't say anything because I wanted to eat his eggs. I waited at the table quietly. He put the burned eggs on a plate and brought them over to me. It looked like he tried to salvage them by adding cheese, but it didn't really work. Still, it smelled good and crispy. It actually stimulated my appetite. Thick cut toast popped out of the toaster. I made coffee with extra milk and sugar because my father liked it sweet. We put everything on the table. It looked terrible, like the cooking class of an elementary school. But to me it was precious, because my father tried very hard to make it wearing the apron.
Great! It smells good. I hope it tastes as good as it smells.
It might be better that you do the cooking. I feel bad making you eat this.
I'll take care of cooking while you take care of getting a job.
It had been a taboo to talk about work in our house. He hadn't worked since the divorce. It wasn't only because of the divorce, though. He just didn't have to work because the settlement my mother gave him was so huge. Plus, I let him be lazy because I felt guilty about the divorce. But my father cleared his wrongdoing by showing repentance to me. And I also atoned for my sin of not doing anything about my mother by doing what I did the previous night. Now we are free of sin. I'm going to try and find a job. I'm thinking about going to the unemployment service agency today.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's not money that he wanted. He just needed a normal lifestyle. I'm old and not very strong. I'm a bit worried if I can find a job at all.
What kind of job are you looking for?
I'd prefer a desk job, but I don't think a lot of companies would offer one to an old man like me.
Well, I can ask my friend. Mi-chan is the daughter of a big landowner in Hinamizawa, so she might be able to find you something.
No, it's okay. I'll do it myself. I have to man up, you know?
I don't remember the last time we enjoyed breakfast like this. I don't even remember the last time we had breakfast together. For the first time in a long time, the morning light felt refreshing. I wanted to keep enjoying life like this, but unfortunately I had to go to school. I told him that I'd skip school that day and that I wanted to take me somewhere fun, but he tried to be a good father and said that I had to go to school. Well, I have to go now.
Okay, have a good day at school. He followed me to the front door. I was a bit embarrassed for some reason. He talked to me while I was tying my shoes.
He followed me here not because he wanted to see me off, but because he wanted to tell me something. I've been sad ever since your mother divorced me. But I realized that I shouldn't be sad because I have you, Rena. I didn't have to feel sad at all.
Dad, that's what being a family is all about.
Yes, you're right. Again, I'm not a good father because I had to learn something that simple and important from my own daughter.
Well, I have to go now. Keiichi's waiting for me.
Have a good day. Oh, Rina! I'm going to cook dinner tonight. I'll do the grocery shopping on the way back from the employment service agency. Look forward to it. I promise I won't fail like I did just now.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. See you tonight. I left the house. My father saw me off, still in the apron. It was the first step of our new life. I finally regained it. I finally regained everything we lost after we left Hinamizawa. My mother wasn't around, but I didn't feel sad because I had my father. The cries of the cicadas sounded as if they were celebrating my new life. The sunshine was bright, and the wind was sending up a nice breeze. The only thing that wasn't nice was the ticking clock. I was late because I spent too much time talking with my father. Keiichi might already be gone. I don't think he'd be waiting for me that long. But he was there anyway.
Hey! Good morning!
Good morning! Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I usually make you wait. So it's okay that I wait once in a while.
We're really going to be late. We should walk fast, I think.
Yeah. Let's walk fast. We might have to run to the end.
Michan might already be gone.
She's waiting for sure. We're friends. We'd never leave each other behind, right? Anyway, did something good happen this morning?
What? Oh, why do you ask that?
Well, you look very happy for some reason. I just thought maybe something good happened to you.
The good mood I was in must have been too obvious for Keiichi to ignore. I had not only my family, but my friends too. I felt something warm spreading in my heart. Well, I'll tell you what happened this morning. My father made breakfast, but...
What? Isn't that the right way to cook eggs? You use salad oil for making salads, don't you?
What? I have to tell everyone you just said that. What did you say? Those rude remarks are unforgivable.
Fine, bring it. If you're saying that, then you're willing and ready to throw down, aren't you? Hey, what's going on here? What's going on? Satoko, Kei-chan, why don't you two place an outside bet on our club activities today? It'll be fun.
Mi-chan, what's an outside bet? What is it?
An outside bet means what it says. That Satoko and I would place a bet on each other outside the game. The one who played worse than the other has to suffer an extra punishment besides the normal one.
That means I get to see one of you suffer no matter who loses today.
So, what do you say, Satoko?
That sounds like a wonderful idea to me. That's a wonderful idea. Kid-san will take a punishment for being the lowest ranked in the game and another punishment for losing to me. Ah, how wonderful.
Great, I like your spirit, Satoko. Alright, let's play today's game with our outside bet.
It's more fun to think about punishments than to think about the game itself.
It sure is. I can't wait to see how miserable Satoko's going to look after she takes her punishment.
Keep dreaming, Kate-san. Ouch! Take that! Stop it! I knew!
Stop fighting, you two. The game hasn't even started yet. Chie-sensei opened the door and came in.
Take your seats, everyone. Let's start homeroom, and then you can all go home.
Everybody headed to their seats.
Mi-chan. Mi-chan.
What?
I'm sorry to ruin the mood, but I have to go home after school. I have things to do again today.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry that you have to go. Are you busy with housework or something?
Yeah.
Well, this old man has no right to stop you when it comes to housework. I don't do housework myself. Our housekeepers do.
You should help them sometimes. It'll be good training for married life.
Don't worry about that. I already had the kind of skill, you know, to be a good wife. Mi-chan looks like the kind of girl who tries to stay away from chores as much as possible, but she can actually do everything. That's just who she is. She went through hard times to learn those things, but she acts like she learned them without any struggle. That's also who she is. I like that about her. What? Are you going home, Rena?
Then you won't see Keiichi go to the teacher's office wearing an embarrassing uniform. What a shame. It's going to be fun. Pity you have to miss it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You went home right after school for housework yesterday, too. Did something happen?
Yeah, kind of. It might take me a few more days.
Well, then I guess you can't join us for a while.
Maybe. I'll try to finish as soon as I can.
Can we help out with the thing you have to do? If it's something like carrying out old furniture, let me know. I can help with that.
Are you redecorating your house? This old man can bring lots of help for that. I have an idea. We can make a game out of helping her out with her housework. At this rate, the person who doesn't end up helping her will be the winner. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Well, it seems like there's nothing we can do. Therefore, I announce Rena Ryugu's withdrawal from the front lines as of today. I order you to take a rest till you finish doing your housework, and then to return to the front as soon as you've regained your strength. Well, there are many games before. Oh, can you play Mahjong, Kei-chan? Yeah! My dad sometimes forces me to play Mahjong with him and his friends from work.
Of course, we are good at Mahjong as well.
After that, they fooled around and made a lot of noise, just like they always did. I looked at them and reminded myself that I'd always have a place to return to. I left the classroom with a smile. I was going to Yagauchi on my bicycle. I had to find a place to bury the bags of the body parts. Hopefully, I could finish burying all of them today before it gets dark. With that, everything would be over and done with. I don't like that the back of the tiles are made of bamboo. You guys haven't marked them, have you?
I wouldn't be too sure.
Let's help Rena dispose of 2 boys, just dump them in Mion's torture dungeon. That'd be convenient.
Kate-san, you sound traumatized by the experience you had with our card game.
Well, I think there are some scratches on them. They're cheap ones, you know. But it's more fun when there's an element of doubt, don't you think?
Me? How many reds do you want to use? How many reds do you want to use? 6?
Thika-san sounded professional and it scared me. Oh well, I should start by checking the tiles. Playing Mahjong with my family is different from playing it as a club activity. I have to be cautious. It's possible that one tile is missing or that there's one extra of a particular tile in here.
We don't do things like that.
Still, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Let's see. Let's put them all face up on the table and check them before we start the game. Come on. Everybody flip the tiles face up. Huh? One dragon's missing.
One low pin and one low so are missing too. Oh, one low one is missing also.
What's going on? There are so many missing tiles. Ah! I remember. Hold on a second. Mion hit the palm of her hand with her fist, moved her chair aside, and stuck her finger into a gap in the floorboards. She then pulled the tile out of there. There you go. This is the dragon. I don't remember where I put the other 3. Wait, Mion, why are there so many tiles hidden in the classroom? Well, you know. She must have hidden the other 3 tiles somewhere in the classroom and forgot where. I couldn't play Mahjong with 3 tiles missing. I suggested playing another game, but Mion insisted that we had to find them and suggested making that treasure hunt our game. As long as I can make Keiichi-san suffer a punishment, I care little as to what kind of game we play, but... to be honest with you, I prefer to play something more interesting than that. I agree. Plus, you're not sure they are here in the classroom, right, Mion? No, they're here. Or maybe this little man might have put them in his pockets and left them by the washing machine. I don't remember. I recommended checking the total number of tiles after we play Mahjong with Mion next time. Everybody except Mion nodded in agreement. What? You don't want to play our classroom tile hunting game? In other words, cleaning up the mess Mion made so she could cheat. Do it yourself. Don't use our club activities for personal reasons. Fine, fine. So, what do you want to do? We can't play Mahjong now. What are we playing then? Does anybody have any ideas? As our club president, Mion usually decides what we'll play. I couldn't just come up with something on the spot. While we were all thinking, Mion hit her palm with her fist, just like she did earlier. I got an idea! If you don't want to hunt for tiles, let's do a real treasure hunt. What name comes to your mind when I say treasure hunting? Rena, right? You mean, are we going to the garbage dump at the damn construction site? I didn't really go there often, but the place is large. I've heard that the place is haunted by the ghost of the man who was murdered there. His body was cut into pieces. We shouldn't go near. A ghost? I like it. That's even better. I didn't know there was a rumor like that. I do know that someone was murdered there and the main suspect is still on the loose. He hid the arm of the victim and it hasn't been found yet, right? There's a rumor that the construction site manager, the victim of the dismemberment murder case, became a ghost and that he's wandering around the place to find his missing arm. Rika, you don't like ghosts? Don't tell me you're still scared of ghosts. I'm a shrine maiden. I can see them even if I don't want to. Wow, you can see ghosts? If I remember right, I've heard those who can see spirits see them as naturally as they do us. That's utterly ridiculous. I've been living with Rika for a long time, but I've never seen anything like that. That's just because you can't see them, but I can. For example, when you're asleep in your bed, I always see... Rika! Rika! Why did you smile like that? What were you about to say? What do you see when I'm sleeping? Satoko, I feel sorry for you. You can pretend you're not scared of ghosts during the day, but I'm pretty sure you get scared when it gets dark. I'm gonna have to make a silent phone call tonight just to scare the hell out of her. Including myself. I don't think anybody really likes going there. Rena's the only one who does. If Rena finds a ghost when she's in her cute mode, she might take it home with her. Pardon me. That's so true. She'd say, "Oh, I'm taking you home with me." It was so easy to imagine that all of us left. Well, let's do it. Let's go treasure hunting. If you find a ghost, you win. You get a point if you find the victim's missing right arm. And you also get a point if you find anything that Rena would like. We can show what we found to Rena later, and we'll let her decide who's the winner. I can't wait to win the game and make Keiichi-san take double the punishment. Hey, Satoko, are you sure you want to win? That means you're going to see a ghost. Ooh.
Stop it! You're getting on my nerves. I don't want to go there. I'm scared of ghosts too. What do you mean you're scared of ghosts too? Who else are you referring to? I'm not scared at all. Hey, Kid-san, stop doing that. Let's go, everybody. Let's find the ghost.
I'm really loving the juxtaposition of their bright conversation over this fucking tense music. It's great. The punishment is you have to finish dismembering the body. God.
Wah!
And it'll be over with. Everything will be over and done with. Yes, it'll be over when the Higurashi cry. You can't hear them? Wait, you just can't hear it anymore? Fuck. I thought it was, like, quiet but still audible. Turning it up a bit. I don't know what theme it is. It was, like, it was just tense in some way.
So, that's it.
Rina finished making her confession. There was no applause or curtain call. It was a quiet and lonely stage that Rina performed on alone. I think I'd forgotten to blink since her confession started. Everybody else seemed to be feeling the same way. Rina looked at us, like she was a teacher waiting for questions from her students. It was like, yeah, but the song was like, doom, 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 dun, dun. It was like, you know, like a blinky sort of glockenspiel sound, I guess. Not that. Some kind of like tuned percussion, and then occasionally like the strings would come and be like da da da. It was more like tense. It wasn't like scary. It was more just like something's wrong here, tension's building, you know, that kind of thing. We noticed that she was imitating what Chie-sensei does at the end of class, and we all smiled bitterly. I went to Yagauchi earlier to find a place to bury these bags. It was hard to pick a place because I wanted to make sure that nobody would ever find them. I even thought about burying them in my backyard because it might be the safest. But after I thought about it, I knew that wouldn't work. My father might start planting vegetables one day and he might find them. So it's better that I bury them somewhere in the mountains. Plus, I don't ever want to let her near my father, even though she's dead. I felt like I did something very bad. Rena's plan was going smoothly. If I'd only hunted for the mahjong tiles instead of insisting on doing something else, this wouldn't have happened. When I looked at the others, they all seemed to be regretting their actions too. If Mion hadn't come up with the idea to play at the garbage dump, if Satoko hadn't found the broken refrigerator, if Rika-chan had convinced us not to go, well, she tried. Rena could have had a few more days. She could have gotten rid of these trash bags. They never would have been found. Then what would have happened next? Nothing. Everything would have remained the same. We could have kept having happy and peaceful days. Rena had been going through a hard time, but she'd been forcing her face into a smile for us. The fake smile was supposed to become a real smile one day. None of us were supposed to notice that Rena was going through a hard time. After a while, Rena was supposed to be able to forget the bitter memory of killing these two, and she was supposed to live as if nothing had happened. But now, all of her effort, all her courage, had been ruined. I know killing people is a bad thing to do. I didn't want to do this, and I don't want to do it again in the future. But I believe this is the best solution, and I also believe I didn't do anything wrong. I just applied my utmost efforts when God presented me with the equal opportunity to regain my happy, peaceful life. Saying we should accept suffering and live an immaterial life without desires is nothing more than pretty words from those who have plenty. Nobody can belittle my efforts.
Rather, they should praise me for what I did. They should celebrate for me. Rena Ryugu fought for her own fate. Rika probably didn't know that Rena killed someone. Oh god, I missed a bunch of messages. Keiichi's free to take responsibility, that's why he mentally mentioned Rika. No, he mentioned himself first though. He's like, if only I hadn't pressed to do something else. I'm not going to argue about this point too much, but I'm pretty sure Rika actually did know that Rena killed someone. Rika does know about future events and stuff, remember? That has been established. And obviously I know the reason for that, but... And she won! I don't know why I did it, but I interrupted her. I shouldn't have. But I thought I needed to tell her this, so I did. But Rena, why? Why didn't you tell us? What do you mean? We're friends, aren't we? Friends are always on your side, without exception, no matter what. I thought friends were like family. If you told us about it, we could have helped you. Then you wouldn't have had to get your hands dirty. What Rena told us made me sad. I couldn't help myself from saying that to her. But Rena told us straight that she did the best she could. She told us that right to our faces. That's the same thing as saying that she didn't need us in order to do the best she could. Kei-chan, you can say that now, but... Wait, let me finish. I believe that friends are there to share both happiness and hardship. If you came to talk to us, I believe we could have done something different, and we could have led you to a better future. Better future? There's no better future than what I have right now. This is the best possible future. That's a lie! My shout seemed to scare her a little. I knew that Rena didn't believe that this was the best possible future. She just didn't have any other choice. If she'd had other choices, she definitely wouldn't have chosen this one. I know you don't believe that, because you're crying! What? Who's crying? Me? I'm not crying. Yes, you are! You've been crying the whole time! Haven't you noticed it? In fact, I didn't see any tears in her eyes or on her face at all. But that didn't mean she wasn't crying. Rena was crying. She was crying because she was driven into a corner after all the hard work she did to become happy. Her tears looked so sad. Anyone who couldn't see those tears wasn't really thinking about her. I'm not crying. I won't cry. I did the right thing. I made the right choice. There's no reason for me to cry. That's ridiculous. I have no idea what you're talking about, Keiichi. I know it. You're crying right now. I'm not crying, you're crying. Rena stopped laughing all of a sudden, and she spoke with a cold expression on her face. Okay. Let's say I did what you just told me. I told you all about my father and that woman. Then what? Well, then what? Huh? Rena had never talked to me like this before. It was as if she was mocking my ignorance, and that made me shut my mouth. You don't know what happened last year. Last year? Yeah, last year. It happened in June of 1982. There was someone who had no choice but to kill a person to free himself from his misfortune. Satoko gasped. Keiichi-kun, I don't think you know much about him. About Satoshi Hojo-kun. I know that he's Satoko's older brother. He's been missing, but people say he transferred. There's a rumor that he killed his aunt for Satoko's sake. Therefore, it's been taboo to talk about Satoshi in my class. Actually, in all of Hinamizawa. Satoshi-kun was under the same conditions as I was. He just wanted to have happy and peaceful days. He just wanted to live peacefully and quietly with his sister. You've heard about what kind of person Satoko-chan's aunt was, haven't you?
If what I've heard is true, this is what happened. After Satoko lost her parents, her uncle and aunt got custody of her and her brother, but they were miserable people. Her aunt was especially cruel to Satoko. Satoshi was the kind of guy who wouldn't even hurt a fly, but his aunt probably was the only one whom he didn't have a problem killing. That's how terrible a person she was. Everybody in Hinamizawa knew about the trouble the Hojo family had. Everybody knew that their aunt was a hysterical and crazy person, and that she bullied Satoshi-kun and Satoko-chan. Everybody knew everything. Everybody in our class knew it too. Mi-chan, the future head of the 3 families, knew it. Rika-chan knew it, and Satoko-chan knew it too, of course, because she was the one experiencing it. The friends you're talking about knew what Satoshi-kun was going through more than anybody in Hinamizawa. And what happened? Did anybody help Satoshi-kun? No, nobody did. Mi-chan had the most influence out of all of us, but she made up a lame excuse, saying that it might create a conflict between the Sonozaki family and the villagers. In the end, all she did was hurting him by offering her sympathy. That's not true. Yes, it is! Satoshi-kun knew it too. He knew that you were only pretending to sympathize with him. He knew that you had no intention to help him. That's why Satoshi-kun started to hate you, Mi-chan. He said that you always told him you were his friend, but after that, you turned out to be just another Sonozaki, just another person who bullied the Hojo family. I didn't mean to... You didn't do anything to help him. You rejected his request to help by sympathizing with him. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? Mion tried to find something to say, but failed to do so. She bit her lip instead. Rika-chan, you were the same too. Now Rena was pointing fingers at Rika-chan. Unlike Mion, Rika-chan looked emotionless and empty, just like Rena did. Rika-chan, you don't have the kind of power in Hinamizawa that Mi-chan does. But your word carries a lot of weight with the old people who come to your shrine, don't they? There was something you could have done for him, but you didn't. Rika-chan, you did exactly the same thing as Mi-chan did. You just pretended to be his friend. All you did was sympathize with him and Satoko-chan. You didn't try to help them out of the trouble they were in. Can you imagine how cruel and merciless your sympathy was to them? Satoshi-kun wanted help. He wanted somebody to help him. He was at a dead end and couldn't get out of there by himself. He was sinking all the way down to his neck in a swamp, reaching for help and waiting for someone to grab his hand. You're right. Rika-chan's voice sounded mature. It was very different from how she usually sounded. I didn't know how to save them. All I could do was to offer them some consolation. I'm not going to deny it, nor am I going to make excuses for my sin of not trying hard enough to find a way to save them. I didn't know you knew. Rena gave her a twisted smile. That ugliness caused me to look away. And Satoko-chan, I don't know if you'll believe me when I say this, but you're weighed down with sin too. I didn't understand why she was blaming Satoko. I tried to take her side. I tried to take her... That was a terrible slip there. I tried to take her side, but I gasped in surprise when I looked at her. She looked like she was accepting the sin that Rena had mentioned. Satoko must have wanted to confess her sin before Rena pointed it out to her, and so Satoko opened her mouth first. I don't know if you'll believe me when I tell you this either, but I realized it on my own. I know what my sin is. I see. I
realized it on that night Nini disappeared. I wish I'd realized it while he was still there. I understand how you feel. That sense that it was too late for regrets, right? I feel the same way. It happened to me before. That's why I fought it this time. Satoko-chan, I'm sure you can atone for your guilt in the future. Because you realize what you did. But that won't bring Nini back. He's not coming back. Satoko looked down sadly. Usually Satoko would say the opposite. She always said that Satoshi was coming back one day without a doubt. But now, she accepted the fact that he would never return. She accepted it easily, as if she knew it already, because he's her brother. Do you understand now? She asked me all of a sudden. That's how they were in 1982. Satoshi-kun talked to everybody he thought could help him. He told them that he needed help. He told them what he was going through. He consulted with them. He even came to me, even though I had just moved here at that time. I don't think it was embarrassing or shameful that he did that. People get desperate when they're unhappy. Satoshi-kun tried very hard. But he couldn't do anything about the situation, and he asked for help. He kept asking for help. You said that friends are always on your side no matter what. But this is what friends really are. They're actually just people you hang around with for fun. They don't help you when you need them. Friends are always like that. That's why I decided not to tell anybody when I found out that I was in the same situation as Satoshi-kun. I knew that nobody would help me and that nobody could. I didn't need sympathy. It only makes me feel worse. It's better that I, at least, have fun at school. In fact, I did have fun at school. I was very happy. I was able to forget about the trouble I had with that woman, even if only for a short amount of time at school. I wish Satoshi-kun could have done that too. If he did, he wouldn't have had to feel constantly hopeless, and he could have at least enjoyed his time at school. He didn't have any other choice than beating his aunt to death anyway. I didn't know how to help him at that time because I just moved here. All I could do was listen to him and try to make him feel better. But there might have been something more I could have done. I might have been lazy in thinking about what I could do. But at that time, in 1982, I thought I was his friend. Nina's self-derisive laughter changed into grievous sobs. Her tears gradually wore away at our relationship of trust. Nobody will help me. Friends are just people whom you have fun with. You can't trust them. The more Rena cried, the clearer we heard her voice in her heart. Mion, Satoko, and Rika-chan looked into the distance with sad expressions on their faces. I was the only one who could say anything back to her now. I had to tell her this. And she knew it too. She just needed to hear it from someone. I braced myself to tell her something that might hurt everybody. I understand, Rena. I understand what happened in 1982. The moment where her laughing turns to cry never fails to get to you.
Yeah, that's something. I don't know what to say. I understand that they were heartless. But Satoko also told you this. They realized their sins. They regretted what they did and didn't do. So, it should be different this time. They can understand your pain and they can help you. You weren't here last year. I'm afraid you don't know what you're talking about. That's right. I wasn't here last year. I wish I were. If I was here last year, I would have fought for Satoshi. You're lying! I'm not lying! I've learned how important friends are since I moved to Hinamizawa. I'll fight for my friends. If I was here last year and knew what Satoko's aunt did to her and Satoshi, I wouldn't have given Satoshi the opportunity to beat her to death. I would have done it myself! I would have done it in 1500 seconds! I wouldn't have even hesitated. I would have beaten her to death with a metal bat. That's easy for you to say. But you don't know the kind of determination you need to kill another person. I don't know that, and I don't need to know that either. You know why? Because it's an obligation to help your friends. You don't understand, Keiichi-kun. You don't know how disgusting it is to kill a person. You can never get rid of the dirt on your hands, no matter how hard you try to justify it. You're right. Killing a person in order to save your friends is such a short-sighted way of thinking. It might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I think things aren't meant to go well when you take care of an evil matter by doing an evil deed. I'm proud of my conviction that I wouldn't hesitate to kill a person for the sake of my friends. But the peace I get by doing an evil deed won't last forever. We all know that by instinct. That's why we all despise evil things, I think. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. She didn't have to tell me that. I was aware I wasn't making any sense. But, for some reason, I could easily imagine a world like that. A world in which I saved my precious friends by committing an evil act. The peace I seized by doing that evil deed didn't last long. It got worse. It ended in a way as terrible as the sin I committed. This was a memory that shouldn't exist. I don't know why, but I know for a fact that it happened in that world of possibility. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. For some weird reason, I couldn't prevent myself from smiling in embarrassment even in a situation like this. But you know it too, don't you, Rena? You know that you didn't want to get your hands dirty. You're crying because you wanted us to help you, but we didn't. You didn't want to be a murderer. You're lying when you claim that this was the best choice you could have made. That's why you've been crying. That's not true! 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 You know better than anybody if it's true or not. You've been regretting this from the beginning. Even if you were able to hide the corpses without getting caught, you could never have washed the blood off your hands. How are you going to fool yourself into believing that you won't have to live the rest of your life bearing the burden of your sin? There's only one way to do that. You have to believe that this was the only choice. Keiichi. Okay. That means you have to live your life denying your friends, and denying that your friends are worth asking for help. Are we worth nothing to you, Rena? Of course not! You always believe that friends exist to help each other. Your friends were immature last year. That's why they couldn't help Satoshi from his unfortunate fate. But people grow up. We don't make the same mistake twice. We don't want to regret the same thing twice. So, believe me, we're your friends. We're on your side. So what you're saying is that I was immature too, right? Yeah, I am. You were immature because you couldn't believe that your friends grew up. But I'm not going to blame you for that. We didn't notice until today that you've been going through such a hard time all alone. People can communicate their feelings only by talking to others. So there's nothing we could do because we didn't talk. In that sense, it's hard to say it, but we have to admit that this was meant to happen today in order to make your choice the best one for real. We finally talked about our feelings. We now know that you've been distrusting your friends since last year, and that everybody regretted both what they did and didn't do. So now, we finally became true friends! Finally... But it's too late.
We only notice our sins after it's too late.
手遅れになってから気づかされる。
That's not necessarily true. For example, as your friend, I can understand the things you've done this time.
理解できる
What do you mean by that? I understand that depriving people of their lives is an unforgivable crime. Got it, Rina. But I also understand that my friend Rena had no other choice but to do this. So I don't think you're filthy, and I'm not scared of you. If something like this happens again, we should talk and think about what we can do together. But this already happened, and I understand that. When I say I understand, I mean I forgive you. I don't hate you for what you did. I said that to everybody this time. I said it to all my friends. I accept what Rena did. I accept that she had no choice other than to do this, and that this was her last resort after thinking it through many times. So, I'm going to side with her.
ケイちゃん
Kei-chan. Of course, if she killed them for money or some other stupid reason, I'd drag her to the police. But that wasn't why Rena did this. She couldn't run away, and she thought it through before she came to this point. If she's guilty of anything, she's only guilty for not talking to us about it beforehand. But I forgive her for that too. I forgive her for coming to this point.
ケイイチ
Keiichi. So, I beg you all, please forgive me for not noticing Rena's situation and for letting her go through it alone. My sin is that I allowed a day like today to come to pass.
ケイイチさん
Keiichi-san, we're the only ones who know about these bags. If we keep it to ourselves, everything will be fine. Rena doesn't have to worry about a thing. Let's hide them somewhere like she planned. We'll cleanse ourselves with salt later, and that's it. Let's forgive each other for our sins. And then we'll regain our happy and peaceful days. This is it, right? Rena, this is the future you chose, right? This is the best possible choice, right?
ケイイチ
Keiichi-kun. I jumped on the hood of the abandoned car that Rena was standing on, and I reached for her hands. Admit it! This is the world you wanted! This is the choice you wanted to make! But this is something that you can't choose by yourself. All of us have to reach for each other's hands, so that Rena can make the choice. In other words, I can't make it happen by myself. I need everybody to reach for each other's hands. So Rena, you need to do it too. When all of us hold hands together, that's when you can go to the world that exists beyond the choice you made. Keiichi-kun, I appreciate it,
本当なら嬉
if
しい
you really mean it,
でも
but
でも
but
みんなもそう
I'm not sure if that's what everybody else wants. A little hand touched mine. It was Rika-chan.
リカちゃん
Rika-chan.
レナは
Rena, you aren't filthy.
汚れてなんかいないあなたは
You
決して
didn't give up.
しなかったそして
You seized your fate,
こんなに
even though you had to dirty your hands to do it.
そんな
I have no reason not to accept you.
どうして私は認めずにいられるのか
Rika-chan's small hand was strong, but she spoke eloquently.
私は
I know how comfortable it
逃
feels
れられない
to be stained by
不幸に
disappointment at
なる
everything in this world, after getting lost in a maze of misfortune.
の心地よさを知っているだからこそ
That's why I can understand how strong you are,
たった一人
and how hard you fought,
屈する
alone,
ことな
without
く
giving
戦
up.
い続けそんなあな
I'm
た
proud of having you in my life.
誇りに思う私も
I agree with Keiichi.
あなたの
I
罪
forgive you for your sin.
だからあなた
So, please forgive me for mine
私の
too.
罪を許してほしいリカちゃん
Rika-chan,
私は無力
I'm
に
just a
この
little girl
姿
without
で
any power. But I could have
戦
fought.
えた自分の
I'll not give up on my fate.
レナのよう
I'll
に
fight like you did.
だから
So, I
私は
ask you
あなた
to
の
accept
仲間
me
に
as your friend.
許してもらいたい
Rika-chan usually acts childish, but now she was like a totally different person. She meant every word she was saying. And then another little hand reached out to us.
Satoko. Satoko put her hand over mine and Rika-chan's. She didn't say anything, looking down for a while. Rika-chan urged her to speak. Rika and I lost both of our parents. We never cried about it, however, because we have you, a family made of friends. I want us to continue to be a family for you. It's natural to get it all out and to confess everything to your family because, well, they're your family. So, I think today was a great opportunity for us. I appreciate that we had the chance to forgive each other for our sins. A family made of friends. Satoko, I like that. I forgive you for your sin, Rena-san. Oops. Please forgive me for mine, too. A big hand reached out for ours. It was Mion's. I always thought it was my job as the leader of this club to talk about the importance of friends. So, I guess I'm not that good a leader after all, huh? Mion. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of you. Mion still smiled and scratched her head. Rena, I'm ashamed of myself, as your friend, and as the club president, for not being able to notice what you've been through. I'd like you to forgive me for that. Of course, I also forgive you for not telling us about it. You couldn't tell me because I wasn't good enough for you. I thought I was trying to be a good leader for you, but I guess I wasn't doing my job. It's my fault. So, I forgive you for your sin, Rena. Rena! Now you have all our hands. We're all ready for you. It's your turn. Reach out for us. Come to us. This is the world you wanted. You have all of our hands right here for you to reach. So don't hesitate. I'm a murderer. I'll get you guys into trouble. Rena, we're... Rika-chan, you don't need to say anything. We're all reaching for your hand. What else do we need to say or prove? Rena, you don't need to say anything. All you need to do is reach out for us. Come on, Rena. This is real. It's not too late. You still have choices you can make. So choose. You can still make it. Come on. It's not too late to start over again. Rena slowly reached out, and her hand touched ours. She didn't hold our hands. All she needed to do was touch our hands to show us her will. Rena chose to live, to share her life with her friends, rather than to refuse them for the rest of her life. I took a step closer to her and firmly grabbed her wrist. It was getting dark and some stars had appeared in the sky. We all forgave each other for our sins for the first time. It was a little embarrassing, but then his tears made us all cry, and we just kept crying together. We stood in a circle, holding each other by the shoulder and putting our heads together in the middle. We are a family made of friends. We forgave each other, and we're happy together. There's a memory in the back of my mind, but it's not supposed to exist. I tried to save one of my friends in that world. In order to do that, I rejected all of my other friends. I acted recklessly alone, and I brought about the end of the world. The situation we had here is the same as the incident in that faraway world, in the sense that people have been deprived of their lives in order to save one friend of mine. But other than that, it was different. We have Rena, Mion, Satoko, Rika-chan, and myself. Nobody was missing. We were going to regain them. We were going to regain those happy and peaceful days. The road going there might be a little rough,
but we'll walk it together. We all will. We went to the place in the mountains of Yagouchi that Rena had picked for burying the bags. Carrying corpses is a scary thing to do, but it made us united more strongly because of that. Since each part of the corpse is in a separate plastic trash bag, we can tell what's inside each bag by touching it. First, we forced ourselves to laugh whenever we had to touch the bodies because we were scared, but after a while we got used to it, to the point where we could make jokes about it. Of course, all of that was probably a bluff, but we all tried our best. Mion somehow had detailed knowledge of how to hide corpses, and she told me to dig the hole deeper. Rika-chan helped to carry the bags. Satoko used her talent of setting traps to perfectly camouflage the place where we buried the bags. Me? I was in charge of digging the hole. Rena dug it earlier, but I made it a little deeper. After we finished all that, we walked back to the place where we parked our bicycles, and we looked back at the place where we buried the bags. It was completely unnoticeable. We'd never be able to find the place again once we left for home. That's how perfect it looked. Great! Thank you all for your hard work. We're done here. It's time to go home. Mion said it cheerfully, as if we just finished club activities or something. We had no more bags to carry, and we no longer had any burden to carry either. We got on our bicycles, but Rena was still standing there looking into the distance. Hey, Rena. What? I'm sorry. I think I caught a cold or something. I feel feverish and dizzy. Rena's face looked slightly red. Mion touched Rena's forehead. It actually was a little warm. She had a tough day today. She had to go through so many things. She had to find a place to hide the corpses. She had to dig a hole. We caught her with the bags. We talked about our feelings. And we forgave each other. She must be exhausted after a day like that. Rena, you should rest well when you get home. Yes, thank you. I will. Rena, we forgave each other for everything. So don't blame yourself anymore, okay? You're right about me. What do you mean? I couldn't fool myself. No matter how hard I tried to justify what I did, I was still scared. Look at me. I'm still shaky even with all the help I got from you. If you hadn't found me with the corpses, if I'd taken care of this alone, I wouldn't have been able to bear the burden. I'm pretty sure I would have been crushed by the pressure. She said all of this with a bitter smile. It might take her a long time to heal from the pain, but it must be 100 times shorter than the time it would have taken if she did this all alone. Rena's home was the closest from here. Rena went her way, and the 4 of us were left behind. Mio made a suggestion. I think we should just forget about today. What do you think? I agree. I think that would be best for Rena-san, too. Rena is a strong girl. If we act like nothing happened, she'll act that way too. If you keep acting for long enough, it becomes real, right? We'll be able to forget by not talking about it. Our goal is to forget about it completely. I think we'll keep wondering whether or not the day of reckoning will come for the rest of our lives. You're probably correct. It's not going to be so easy to simply let it go. Even if I can't forget about it for the rest of my life, that's fine by me. The most important thing is to keep it in my heart forever. The most important thing is that we don't make her think about it. We nodded in agreement, just as my house came into view. Well, this is goodbye. See you at school. Just like always.
いつもの
Just like always.
I will set a perfect trap for you, just like always. Goodbye, Kei-chan. After I parted with them, I still felt hot and dizzy. It felt really weird. I was even staggering to the front door. I felt as if I was floating in the air, like I just took some very strong cold medicine. Today, something very shocking, something that made me super happy, and something very embarrassing happened to me. I felt as if my heart and mind were about to explode because they were filled to the brim with both happiness and sadness. I don't know whether I made a crucial mistake today, or if I had the happiest day of my life. I don't know which it is, and all I could do was to stare blankly into space. I felt frustrated, too. Even though they were my friends, I was caught in the act of abandoning the corpses. At the same time, I felt relieved that my reliable friends accepted what I did. Those emotions were all mixed up in my heart, and they were equally strong, making it difficult for me to decide what I was feeling. I was losing my sense of balance. It was like the world was warping around me. I heard sounds as if I was in a shower. Everything left me with a feeling of unreality. And those emotions were about to make me lose control. I felt a heat on my wrist. The part where Keiichi grabbed me earlier started throbbing. My feelings weren't cooperating with me, but the heat on my wrist calmed them down for me. I don't know how to express what I felt when my friends and I held shoulders together in a circle earlier, but the feeling was the only thing I knew to be real.
ただいま
I'm home.
あれ
Huh? As soon as I opened the front door, I smelled it. It smelled really good. My father isn't good at cooking, but he likes trying to cook creative dishes. I remember he used to cook something very challenging whenever he was in a good mood. So this smell was a sign that he felt that way. That's why I always liked the smell. The reason he's in a good mood is because he found a job. And not just any job. He found a job with a company created by friends from his old workplace. They remembered my father and promised to hire him. He told me that some of his other colleagues from the old company are also working there. It must be very encouraging for him to work with people he knows, because he hasn't worked for a long time. The dinner looked great, in contrast to how it started. It was the dinner to celebrate his new life, to show his determination, to regain his bond with his daughter, and to make a clean start. I talked about a lot of things with my father that night. It had been a long time since the last time I talked with him like this. I don't remember when it was, but it reminded me of the days I was still happy, which meant that I'd finally returned to that time. My father still believes that Teppei is coming back one day, so he's still very cautious about locking the doors and windows, and he gets scared every time someone rings the doorbell. I told him so many times that they'd never come back, but I couldn't convince him because I couldn't tell him the reason why they won't. He'll eventually realize that he's free. I'm sure it won't take too long. My heart was full of many, many emotions that day. If emotion could actually burst a heart open, it might happen to me. My brain must have been overworked because so many things happened at once. My head was still fuzzy, but I managed to crawl into bed. I felt like the ground was moving. I totally lost my sense of reality. I remember that I once felt like this when I got the flu. I might get a high fever tomorrow, but I don't care. I don't care if I get sick tomorrow. I just wanted to enjoy the fact that I took a step towards the future of my decision. Keiichi told me something like that today. The high fever and the dizziness made me feel frustrated for some reason, but whenever I felt frustrated, I felt the heat on my wrist too. I grabbed my wrist with my left hand tightly. It made the frustration go away, and it brought me relief. Even the dizziness I didn't like just before made me feel like I was in a down-filled futon. I was falling asleep in that down-filled futon on my first night in a new world. This dizziness didn't go away for a few days, but I gradually got used to it. This new world looked like the world I used to live in before, but the sunshine was a little bit brighter, and Keiichi's smile looked a little bit more gentle than before. We made more noise than we used to. We spent every day slowly, but in high spirits. Oh, what an idiot I am. I underestimated that dizziness, and I caught a summer cold in June. I wanted to get better as soon as possible. I should have taken a day off from club activities, but I forced myself to play with them every day, and that made it hard for me to get better. I finally learned my lesson recently. I don't need to feel frustrated. There's no limit to happiness in this world. As long as we keep wishing for it, it'll continue forever. I don't need to feel frustrated anymore, because tomorrow I'll have the happiness I have today. We'll have the Watanagashi festival next Sunday. Mi-chan tells us that we'll have a lot of fun and that we'll go extra crazy. I really can't wait. Watanagashi, huh? That hasn't happened yet. New tips unlocked. Letter from the forestry office. And achievement unlocked. You're crying right now. View new tips and we'll be done. It's still June, yet the air is filled with the cries of cicadas. How is everyone in Hinamizawa doing? The Watanagashi festival is coming just around the corner. We staff members from the forestry service are going to perform a wood sculpting demonstration at the festival. We'll be happy to lend out our tools and teach your kids how to sculpt wood themselves. It'll be an excellent memorial gift. Also, we would like to inform everyone that we're going to cut down trees in the local hills this summer as part of the number blank 4th Forest Landscape Management Project. This project involves preserving the beauty of the forest by cutting down old trees and planting new ones. The Forestry Service needs volunteers who are interested in helping us cut down the old trees. You can enjoy the beauty of nature under the blue sky while helping out with this preservation activity. The project will begin during summer break, so you can bring your kids too. This will be a good opportunity for your kids to learn about nature and have a valuable experience. The locations of the project are the forests in the Takatsudo and Yagauchi areas. I remember that, actually. Not from the anime, because it wasn't in the anime, but there was a blog that I read, well, it's not really, it's sort of a blog, but it's more just like a series of informational posts that sort of are designed to explain some interesting extra info that is in the visual novel, mostly in the tips, but not in the anime, that provides some extra context. And I think that actually one of the points in the, in that blog mentions this letter from the Forestry Service. So it's interesting to see it there. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for coming along. Don't know when the next stream will be. It will not be anytime this weekend. I can tell you that at least. So sometime next week, probably. I will probably schedule another stream like I did for this one. So keep an eye out for that. And have a good weekend. Night, guys.